Without a doubt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome back to another Thursday night of painting and crafting and tormenting my dog because he's right here and wanting to get in the show again. Should have seen him earlier. He jumped up into my lap like he belonged there. Oh, come on, do it again. I dare you. Just looking at me like, come on, come on, come on. There we go. See, this is where he wants to be. But unfortunately, he has no fingers, so he doesn't get to paint tonight. Say hi. That's my boy, my other boy, my four-legged boy. So we are going to do some painting tonight. I sent the link out there. Little guy's supposed to join us. Get your ass down. You know where. Yeah. Swear he's got a vocabulary all his own. What? What you want to go outside now? See, this is what I got to deal with. And in 5 minutes he will want to come right back in. He just needs to go make the rounds, make sure there's no leaves blowing in the front yard, nobody parking in front of our house. And he can call it a night and get back here. Hey, Hungar, what's happening, brother? Looking forward to tomorrow. I don't know how we're going to wake up at a proper hour to join you, but we've got every alarm set for our 9:30 wake up call. Me and the boy will be there. And Mac's been here for a while. Hey, Mac, hope the little ones aren't giving you too much trouble. So what are you working on, James?
Well, right now I'm working on 2 pieces of toast, but I will be working on some Romans very shortly.
Okay, got to say, I dig the Hawaiian shirt. I am really looking forward to be able to wear some of my Hawaiian shirts, not just because of the weather, but I need to drop a few pounds before I can squeeze into any of those. So let's put the music aside. I got a new gadget today that I am super thrilled with. I can't show it to you, but I ordered this a while ago and it finally came in, and it is a Vortex paint mixer. I do not yet have the googly eyes, which one must affix to their paint mixer. Hey, don't be calling me Goblin Slayer. I am Orc Slayer to you. Goblins are the light work for the boy and his minions. I deal with the orcs and up. But yeah, as soon as I plugged it in and gave it a whirl, it's a weird thing though is I have these Dr. Martin, actually they're Bombay inks that I use. This yellow is I wish I could actually find a yellow paint that's like this yellow that doesn't come out like toothpaste or 3 different shades of something besides yellow, like Zealot yellow from the Speed paint line. But I absolutely love it. But it did not want to shake this. I mean, it shook it up just fine, but it still stayed separated. I could see the medium or whatever, and then the actual color down below. So I had to give it a good, little shake and then put it on the mixer. And so you won't have any more of those jokes there, Justin, with what am I shaking off camera. So let's see if I can show you some of the things I've been working on. This, I need to, I got the perfect idea.
That's nice.
Ha ha ha! Check that out. It's Eddie coming out of a tree, Iron Maiden. I don't know what album cover this is from, but I'm using this really cool, what's it called? Phantom Glow by Reaper. And I'll show you another mini that I used it on that really, where'd it go? Oh, no, that's not it. I used it on this Eddie. And it's just got this really cool sort of like almost glow, spirit sort of glow. And then I'm also using for similar effects. What is this? Another Reaper Alien Glow. No, Alien Goo, excuse me. And it also has that same sort of, it's, I want to say it's almost a neon color, but I need better lighting in here still. Even with all the disco lights, I'm just not getting it. You know, okay, I can do that, Cal. By your command. Where is the? I guess it's over here. Let me do that over there. No, that doesn't do that. What the heck? Okay. All right, let's go back to the beginning. There's Eddie coming out of the ground for alive or undead. Wow, man. After our other friend passed away this week, I just saw Cal's message saying, yes, she passed with an exclamation. I'm like, what? And then I look up and Cal Hungar said, Cal, did your wife get her driver's license? Don't need more of that. Now let's bring back the Eddie with the coming out of the tree. But maybe you can kind of get an idea of how neat a color that is. It's not doing it justice. Yeah, Cal, I know. Hey, you know what? It was good seeing you this morning over on Archon's site and DM James, the James gang. Let me get out of this solo layout so I'm not hogging up the show. But Cal, what do you think? Did you see that airship that we're getting? Oh my God! The cool mini. Both those Iron Maiden Eddie miniatures are actually from Cool Mini or not. Okay, Hungar, you know what? Just rest up, sleep until about 8:30 my time. Be fresh and smelling like roses when Jackie and I show up, because Jackie goes back to school next week, and he won't get to see you for a while. So get all the rest you need, brother. But
I have an announcement to make. I've been collaborating with Simon on a range of other musicians in miniature with a fantasy twist. Our first release is going to be the Leo Slayer.
Okay. What was his big hit? Didn't he cover that Stevie Wonder song, I Love You More Today Than Yesterday?
Yeah, like that. He's one of the many American stars who moved here to be a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah, it's funny. A friend of mine who was a huge Rush fan, he was such a Rush fan, he literally looked like Geddy Lee, but 10 years younger. Mm-hmm. In his room, he had this big Leo Sayer poster. I'm like, dude, what the? This is 1979 ish. Everybody was into much harder stuff, but I guess that's all he could get away with.
People always have those one or two bands that are kind of incongruous with their other tastes, though. I've met a lot of metal fans who are into Aha.
I could see it. Despite what some folks have said, you can't be metal 24/7. I try, but even I, every once in a while, need to hear something completely different. And lately, and I will listen to stuff, especially lately. Like I was telling you just the other day, I've been listening to a lot of bands that back in the day I just didn't care about or know or hear that often, like Triumph and UFO and things like that. And Cal wants to know, where's the Yahoo Serious Fantasy Mini for any party?
I wonder what became of Yahoo Serious, actually.
One of those one, flash in the pan, one hit kind of wonder situations. I really don't know.
Young Einstein was quite a fun movie.
Didn't see it.
It is quite a fun movie, but that's all I know about Yahoo Serious.
And yeah, Cal, I cannot wait to get that airship. I'm getting two. But in retrospect, 4 would have probably been better. And of course, they'll be out there. Well, because the airship is modular, so you can take one model and you can take 2 models and make one bigger version. And obviously, because we're nutcases, we would want to take 4 and turn it into 2 big ones to have them battle, or just make one that's made out of 3 or something like that. The only thing I don't like about it is the air container, the balloon, as it were. The way it looks is just kind of a little too cobbled together, as opposed to it does remind me of Flash Gordon, but it also reminds me of Skies of Arcadia, that old video game from the PlayStation back in the day, where it was basically like Spelljammer. You're flying around in sailing ships in the sky, blasting cannons at one another. It was a fun game, except that godforsaken, there was this barrier of storm clouds that you couldn't get through. Well, you could, but it was the most nightmarish series of just the right moves through pure darkness with no subtle shades of light or anything like that. And eventually, if you got lucky, you would make it out to the other side of the world and see some new stuff. God help you if you had to go back, though. But they didn't actually have like airbags to keep them aloft. But it will look nice on the table with a variety of other airships. I made some homemade ones. We did last year or the year before out of super soakers, which I looked at them just the other day. You're thinking, they look like crap. I'm like, you know what? They're really not that bad. I've got a feeling I might make some more in the coming years. Just don't really have a great game to use them with. I don't want to use Spelljammer.
Well, I would actually think about just building one or two and using them within galleys and galleons as aerial units, because you've got those covered in the expansion, right? So maybe use them as part of a naval game. Make some ships as well. You made some really nice ships earlier on.
Thanks. Yeah, I need to finish up a couple of them. One of them, well, two of them, I was really stumped with how I was going to do the sales. Yeah, like Zeppelins. They were more like they were based on John Carter type of descriptions from the books. But I just took the water containers, the reservoirs for cheap knockoff super soakers, and took a hot knife and just cut it right down the mold line. So I had two halves, which made the hulls, and then just slapped some granny grading at various levels for decks, and all kinds of different. I took a 99-cent store tank model and pulled all for 28 mil, and I took a plastic tank from the dollar store, pulled the turret off, and put that on as the main gun. And let me just show you. They're right here. I'm actually thinking about hanging them from the ceiling with fishing line just to make up some more space.
That's a great idea.
They're not that heavy. But here's the little one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, cool. And it's got a nice little trough in it for the figures to sit in.
Yep, I even got a nice little captain's wheel from some gears from their wood. It's a wooden gear, but it works.
So, given the galleys and galleons kind of covers that kind of ironclad feel and has flyers,
here's the big one.
Why not use something like that? That looks awesome. That looks crazy.
And the engine is actually part of the gun. It's got a captain's cabin right here where you can actually sit a miniature in, so I didn't have to worry about the wheelhouse or anything. I mean, it is the wheelhouse, but it's just a boarding ship. You use this to get close to a bigger ship.
Yeah, nice.
Thanks. It's just simple Army painter metallics, dry brushed over black. I really didn't do much. These are really cool. I like these little circular things here. I forget what they came from, just to be able to tie off onto another ship, for boarding actions. There's really not much area below deck to do anything but store like booty and prisoners. But there's enough room on the top to battle. The turret is glued in place, but that turret just came off a 99-cent store tank model. Not even a model, but just a silly little toy tank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool.
You know what?
I mean, when it's in the context of the table and like you've got your nicely painted models on it, it kind of comes to life more anyway, right? Like
the hardest part was just cutting the reservoir tank for the hull out of the dollar store super soakers. And springtime is coming. I'll get some more. Maybe we'll make a couple more. But yeah, and this part right here was literally the where the water came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I just cut it up again with a hot knife. That hot knife was one of the best investments we ever made. It was like $20 a couple of years ago, and it's right here, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
You can get these at Hobby Lobby or Walmart. Now they're about $25, thanks to inflation. But it's really just a soldering iron with an X-Acto blade.
Yeah.
And it came with some other attachments. Hope you can't even see it then. But
that'd be good for like 172 and some of those PVC miniatures like you get in board games and stuff. The mold lines are so persistent, like
you could do that, but you have to be very careful because it's got a variable heat setting, but it's light yellow, yellow, orange, and red. So I have no idea what the actual temperatures are. But Jackie loved using that, and of course the hot wire cutter. Those tools, you think, especially like the Proxxon, I paid like $1.25, $1.50. I used it like twice, but you know what? It's there. If I need it, if I want to do it like a certain project, it's there. You will go back and use it. I haven't used the hot knife in over a year. The wire cutter we used for the Tomb of the Lizard Kings project, and put it away. It's still there. It still works. I will get use out of it. Great tools to have, because believe it or not, in the old days, what we would do is we get an X-Acto knife and a candle, and you heat up the candle and you put the blade in there and then get a little bit of cutting done, pull it out, and then heat it up again. And that would take literally hours to do stuff. And I had to do that with one of the Archon dragons because the plastic was so brittle, because the clear plastic is, if you try to use clippers on it, it will shatter. But you use the hot knife on it very carefully, which is difficult because of the way they jam pack all those pieces onto a sprue. If you're very careful, yes, the airship is a freebie. It's one of the stretch goals. And what I did was I wanted everything. So I made 2 separate orders of half and half. So I'll get 2 boxes, but I'll get 2 stretch goals, because if you remember back in the day, you were able to make multiple pledges on one account, and that's why I ended up with 6 of the Wolverine tank and 4 of the Gold Dragon, because I wanted 4 copies of the Gold Dragon so I could make a gold, a silver, a copper, and a brass. Wolverine tanks, I mean, look at this thing. I should put it away more carefully. Okay, this tank model is top notch. Okay, it's got several moving parts. If you're interested, the turret moves, the gun can move a little bit, but this is a top notch kit. And right now, if you want it, it's like $35 for one plus shipping from Poland. I'm like, yeah, I dodged that bullet. Full detailed interiors. I made the mistake of assembling it and before painting the interior, but whatever. I got a couple more because I gave one to Bo and one to Brian. Where are you, Brian? And then Brian proceeded to send his over to Bo without checking with me first. So now Bo's got 2 and I've got 4. It's like,
well, hey, Bo deserves 2.
Oh, I know. I'm just teasing.
He deserves 2, and he can paint. Knowing Bo, he'll do something. he'll do something creative and make one like a loyalist one and one like a possessed tank with like tentacles on
Yeah,
it or
he's
something.
already showed off his progress on his channel.
Mhm.
Blood spatter the interior, and you're done.
Yeah,
It may
maybe.
maybe, or there's an even easier solution. I can just glue the hatch closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like it because I mean it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 12 seats for
Mhm.
troopers inside. Okay, I guess the gear mechanisms and everything that runs everything is so tiny and micronized that you got plenty of room for 6 guys in there, squeezed up in like sardines. But it's a fun kit, and we will get a lot of use out of it. I'm not really done painting it. We are going for an Arctic camo on this one,
Yeah,
but I just
cool.
need to,
Nice.
Whenever Jackie and I would start playing Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront, we'd start with Hoth and go, man, we need tanks. But of course, there were no tanks. There were just walkers. Yeah, it kind of does. And Archon's going to be doing more stuff like that. They're working with, I think, Mantic. Is that who it is,
Mhm.
James? They've got some other kits. They did the walkers. I can pull one of them out pretty easy as well. This walker, it's actually got a set of 4 legs or 2 legs, so you can turn it into 2 different kinds of walkers, which is actually, for 2 separate pieces, or maybe the feet were separate. I don't remember, but
Mhm.
it's a nice little. Yeah, I know. I've been asking them, Cal, about Starside. You know why? If you can go back in the Wayback Machine and go to Archon Studios, they had this campaign called Empire of Man, and it had the most insane models, airships, tanks, and all kinds of stuff. Unfortunately, it was resin, and I stay away from resin kits. I don't mind resin 3D printed stuff because it's a solid thing. You don't have to worry about much. But I missed out, and in retrospect, I wish I would have got it just because of the looks, everything. But that's what Starside is going to be one of these days. But they have not yet said we're not doing Starside. So clearly they want to, I don't know, get more ideas for it. But it's going to be their version of 40K, just a war game with several sides. One side will include vampires in space. Tell me that doesn't sound like a hell of a lot of fun. There's
Get into it.
techno mages and snake men with plasma shields and thunder hammers or some junk, and just all kinds of cool stuff. And I'm in. If
Yeah.
If they make the Kickstarter, if they make the game, I will grab it. Buck Rogers Space Vampires, no. Yeah. Isn't it Firefight, the new game or not really a new game from Mantic, but one of their games, Firefight, and then there's another one.
Dead Zone is the small skirmish, and Firefight is the big battle. Yeah.
And I gotta say the like the hover bikes and the tunnelers for the Space Ratman and all the other vehicles, including the Wolverine tank is part of the line, as well as some other vehicles. If Archon Studios is making the model kits, I will grab them eventually. I just need to take care of a few things, and I'm getting the Dungeons and Lasers Kickstarter probably this month, probably more like the beginning of next month, right, Cal? Not what they said. And then once that's here, I will be looking at over 500 miniatures that will need my my attention
That's
for
crazy.
the next several months.
Well, I'm currently working on about 6. So
6?
6. 2 bases of blade.
You to show us off what you've been doing working today?
Yeah, I'm just about to start again now. So, got to get some cooling happening down here. Very hot. Whew.
No worries, Mac. Apparently, you and Minnie Warmut are hanging out with the grandkids. That's awesome. I got a few years to go before I see grandkids from Jackie. Hopefully, it's not like a full-fledged decade that I have to wait. Because yeah, that's a long time to wait for grandkids.
But yeah, I mean, I've just been doing these Roman.
Okay, hold on. Let me take a look. Let me make you giant size. All right, cool. Who makes those?
Warlord.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take care, Minnie. I'm getting ready to show off what I'm working on for your challenge, but I got to find a way to use a different camera. I can't really do it with my laptop. But take care. Yeah, your lighting in the back is not exactly helping for us to see what you were working on there, James.
Yeah. I'll post some photos when they're done. The last coat is still a little bit wet, so I'm going to leave them a little bit longer. Still a tiny bit wet. But yeah, as I was saying, I thinned my black primer with a couple of drops of Agrax Earthshade Gloss, and it's gone on really smooth. It's gone on into all the recesses and stuff, and it's kind of sealed on the model, which is nice. And it's
what do you think about using different mediums?
Yeah, I'm into it. I've got a whole stack right here. I'm into it.
What do you use? Like what's that brand?
The best value is Liquitex.
Right. That's the name. I have got some of that, but I've also got some Vallejo, some Army Painter, and of course the new Army Painter Speed Paint Medium, which to be honest, the only mediums I've ever really tried to work with were the washes medium for Army Painter, and they seem to actually ruin the wash. It was weird. It made it cloudy and just crap.
Yeah, they can. I mean, you just add a little bit and you chase it with a wet brush, right? But you don't add water as well, but you chase it with a wet brush. That's the best for that. Get it to settle right. But my experience with it's been okay. My experience with it has been more like things like speed paint and contrast paint are so pigmented, it doesn't really make that much difference unless you add quite a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I to be honest, the speed paints I haven't had any trouble with them at all. It just goes on like a dream, and I'm good to go.
Well, the older ones, you just need to leave more drying time. That's really it.
Yeah. And I still have 20 bottles of that stuff. Every once in a while, I'll grab it just to try to kind of use it up. But
but it was never that bad. It just needed more drying time.
No, it's just if you weren't careful, you could screw up your mini, by adding something over it, which in retrospect you probably should have done anyways.
Well, it's meant to be a kind of one and done coat, which is almost hard to come to terms with for most of us. Like we always want to fiddle or do more. I know I do.
Well, you know what though? I actually learned that lesson with this model right here.
Yeah.
It's a Grim Reaper, but it's Eddie, okay, from Iron Maiden. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, you know what? The image, it was literally just the box art. It's a black robe, and I'm like, you know what? That's boring. It's just gonna get lost with all my other Grim Reaper miniatures. And I'm like, you know what? I love this blood red color so much. I made Eddie in blood red, and look at it. Look at the shading and the shadows. All I did
Yeah.
was a zenithal, dry, black, white dry brush over it, and then I hit it with the red speed paint, and I'm like, I do not need to do anything else. I actually added a little bit of orange highlights
Mhm.
here and there, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I can't even see it. But
Yeah.
all the shaded, the recessed areas came out perfect. I'm like, all I got to do now is hit it with some silver on the blade, and I am done.
If you want to,
Actually, I need to do a little work on the base.
if you want to bust it up even more, what you do is when you've done your zenithal, put down a wash and then dry brush it white again, and that'll make it pop even more, and it'll look smoother, like over the whole model, like a thin black wash or a thin sepia wash or something like that, and then another white dry brush
How's that eyeball?
before you
Can
put
see
your
that
colors
eyeball?
down. That looks pretty good. Yeah, nice. Yeah,
Nice little evil froggy looking thing. It's called a Vroat from
yeah,
Arduin.
yeah. But if you bust up the sketch before you even put the speed paint down, it will look even better. Like, and you won't have to do any highlighting or any additional work. You know.
Nice, Derek. Well, you know what? What we do is really a whole lot of cheating methods, or that's what uh,
Mhm.
I call it. When I first discovered dry brushing and washes back in the day, I'm like, oh my god, that's how they were doing it. Oh my god, it seemed like cheating, but you know what? If you know how to do it, when you do your first dry brush, the very first time you do it, you go over like some good chainmail or some fur, and you just look
Mhm.
at it and go, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks, Cal.
It
Yeah, I
doesn't
used to
take
paint
long.
houses too. There, Derek. I would much rather paint this. But speaking of houses, has anybody seen? Uh, I know Black Magic did it, but a couple other people took those really cheap bird houses from Dollar Tree and dollar stores and whatnot, made out of cheap, like not particle board, but just cheap pine or something, and
Mhm.
they're almost perfect. If you glue a couple of them together, you get a nice house in 28 millimeter scale. You
Mhm.
can't do the interiors, but if you just need a bunch of quick houses to put on for a battlefield or a village encounter or something, oh my god.
Well, you can probably embellish the roof and put some door
Exactly.
frames, on there, and a little bit of textured paint around the base, and you know.
You're done. I mean, you could do a lot more. You could do the shingles, you could do paneling and trim on the
Mhm.
outside with anything from
Well,
cardboard to
if you can't be bothered doing shingles, Brillo pads or steel wall pads are just as good. You know.
for thatching.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that. I actually did the shingles the hardest way possible, which
Mhm.
was to buy a huge box of coffee stir sticks and just
Mhm.
cut the tips off
Oh
about
my goodness.
500 of them, and glued them individually into place.
Mm.
And of course, at some point, it started sagging and looking
Mhm.
all crappy. And I'm like, cool, I'm going with it. That's just and it was a mausoleum. So it was kind of okay for it to be all kind of creepy
Mm.
and bent up and, you know,
Yeah,
old and decrepit.
I'm interested in the terrain building, but I want to learn how to make it so that they last. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
this thing will last. It's made out of Hearst Arts blocks, which is
mhm,
dental stone molded. You take dental stone, you mix it up, you pour it into molds, and then you
mhm,
glue each and every individual brick. Oh man, I was doing that for years. I still have a lot of
mhm.
that terrain, and I might as well have been building a real house with as much time as I put into it. And then Dungeons and Lasers came out, and I'm like, oh, I guess this is what I'm doing now.
And I am
And
curious about the wire cutter because I think the kind of vertical angle is like underexploited in a lot of games. Like you kind of move forward, but seldom do you climb up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I want to find a really nice wire cutter and a good source of foam so that the result is nice and neat. You know what I mean? And takes paint well. So I'm open to suggestion on that front. I would rather spend a little bit of money on it, like a decent branded one, if that's what it takes. You know,
To cut what exactly? Like shingles?
foam and foam core.
Okay. Foam core. I usually just use an X-Acto. You can use good scissors. You can after you peel the paper off, and the trick to that is just get the whole sheet of foam board wet and wait for it to start bubbling up and stuff and drying, and it'll pull itself off in a lot of ways, and then you can just peel it off. And if it sort of rips and doesn't come off completely, soak it again, come at it again. But you could use safety scissors on that foam. You don't need anything top notch for that. But if you're using like styrofoam or XPS, then even a $20 hot wire cutter. Now, if your hands are shaky and stuff, you're gonna make some mistakes. A lot of mistakes.
I could do small movements like pretty easy. Like I could still do fine work for short periods of time. I just want to get like a nice smooth result so I can cut some like really tall spires and maybe think about making some tower ruins. You know, some verticality.
Honestly, with goals like that, I would go with the Proxon hot wire cutter table. You've got a level table somewhere. You put it up, you set it up, you get a couple of jigs, or even some just some wood blocks, and oh my god, what you can do with Proxon, you will decide I'm going to make a full-fledged castle, and it's going to look great.
Nice.
For me, I paid, like I said at the beginning of the show, about 150 off Amazon. And this was, I want to say, the beginning of last year, maybe a little bit longer than that, but it was worth every penny of it, and I only used it once. If I take it out, I'm going to want to make, something huge, some big, big exotic, project that I'm not going to have room for. But it is.
Well, the other thing that I saw is that Woodland Scenics, and this struck me as quite interesting. Woodland Scenics do little diorama kits, right? Sometimes with a little 3D box that you can situate it in. And I was like, I wonder how viable that is for like 6 mil as like mini playing environments, but also storage for those guys.
Yeah, I was thinking like that when I saw that new terrain. I forget who makes it. I saw a commercial or a video for it where it's just it's boxes nested inside of boxes. So one like box about the size of a cereal box. When you take it apart, you've got like 5 or 6 other boxes nested inside it, and all it is stickers on the outsides, even on the insides if you want to do interiors.
I was thinking just building like the box dioramas like 3 in a row and having them connect, but being able to reorder them like and you can get open ones as well, so you could like build out, and if you design the roads and the rivers to connect, you can just change them around indefinitely, like.
Right now I'm working on this model. Hey Cal, maybe you recognize this. I thought this was a Arduin miniature, but it's not. Or if it is, it's an old one and they've got a new version of this sort of purple worm looking thing. Do you recognize this, Cal? It's got literally no markings on the base. It's solid as hell. You recognize that one, Cal? I mean, it could be Grenadier, but with the base the way it is, it's perfectly smooth and flat. You would think that it would say Grenadier or Raw Parth on it, but I have no idea. I've had this in my collection for decades, and I was looking at the Arduin miniatures on Emperor's Choice, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, that base and things are different. That's not the same one, and the one they have is $25, something like that for a metal. This is also metal. I'm like, crap, now I got to get that one too, which is okay because I don't mind throwing a couple of these at a party. It's like the ground bursts open and this thing comes at you. What do you do? Well, before or after I clean my shorts, because that thing is creepy looking.
You could print one of those for like 80 cents.
I know.
I'm the same. I'm too dumb to do anything that doesn't have a starter box. I was explaining this to Fred. I was like, with a starter box, I can just open it and get going, and I don't have to think, and the whole process becomes meditative. If I have to plan and test things, it gets boring fast. It's easy for me to open box, build minis, paint minis, and then feel satisfied. Whereas
and put everything back in the box when you're done.
Yeah. Everything else is just too complicated for me to even think about.
Well, I like the idea of being able to put the stuff back in the box and keeping it contained, so that when I want it, it's all there. And also, for Jackie, when I'm no longer around, I don't want him to have, a life's work, and not know what to do with anything. It's like, what is this? Is this a $5 miniature? Is this a $50 miniature? Is this, one of a kind? That sort of thing, he is going to have that problem with part of my collection. But when with the newer stuff, it's like, oh, it's this. Do I want to hang on to it? He can look it up on eBay and go, oh, it's worth this much money. Do I need that much money right now? Do I want to try to make that much money right now, or do I want to just put it back in the closet and wait?
Look, even if he kept his top 1,000 favorite figures and games, he would still be selling like lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of stuff that I know he will never, treasure or care about, and because I don't, I've got a lot of stuff that like, when am I ever going to get this or that?
More likely his then wife says, look, you probably can't fit more than 200 different things in the garage, so pick 200, and then he'll sell even more, but that will still be an amazing collection. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. Especially
it'll be everything that means something to him, like.
Oh yeah, because he's played with a lot of these minis with his friends. They come up here and borrow stuff for their Dungeons and Dragons game, and we've used stuff for our build a second garage. I like the way you think of their Dungeon Minister. Welcome to the show. Hey, do you recognize this, DM? It's a metal mini. Have you ever seen this guy before? It's not Grenadier. It's probably not Raw Partha, but it is metal. No idea.
Anyone? Bueller?
No. Yeah, I could go on to the Lost Minis wiki and nothing on the bottom. It's perfectly smooth. I could go on the Lost Minis wiki and be there for years before I would come across it. Only to find out, oh, by the way, it was a Grenadier miniature or something like that, which would irritate me to no end, because normally they put things on the bottom of the base and you're like, oh, okay, it's that. Not with this. but I'll figure it out. I'll find out. I'm going to ask Emperor's Choice if this, because I could have swore that's what it was. And maybe it's just an old version or something like that. Now I'm working on these little guys here. I got these from, was it Bronze Age? Yeah, I think it was Bronze Age because it's like the only sci-fi things they have that are.
You know what? I was really stressed out about the painting and modeling side of the hobby until recently, especially with respect to certain things like 40K, which changes so often. I just can't keep up with it anymore. And I was like,
I kind of hate that. So expensive, and
it just puts you off knowing that, like, I mean, if they're knowingly printing army cards that are going to be invalidated a week later, it's a bit much. Or they're putting
not
out
only
codices.
That, but it's like,
they're putting
why
out
bother in the
codices
first place?
and they're putting out codices and then saying, like, this information is already out of print, like, or out of circulation. Yeah. So I was kind of stressed out about that, and then I kind of hit the milestone because, like, I was recommending Kyle get into the whole kit bashing thing, and I was like, why don't I take my own advice and start hacking this stuff up and putting it together in a kind of rogue tradery way like we used to back in the day, instead of worrying about what's canonical or works in game. I'm not going to use their rules anyway, so kind of really liberated my whole, like, before it was just sitting in the corner with like stink lines coming off it, and now I'm like, I'm going to enjoy messing with that stuff now, base it my way and paint it my way and play with it my way.
Yeah, I don't get it, with the play testing I've done over the last couple of years, how these companies can just jam out that stuff so quick and just basically, print and create, more or less, junk that's not going to get a whole lot of use. Once once the company's made their money, they just throw up their hands. We don't care. We're doing something else now. I mean,
in the very least,
stick to something.
In the very least, they should have played like a best of 3 of all the armies, and then like tested each of the scenarios. You know what I mean? Like, in the very least.
Hey, Owen, you want to pop in? I can send you the link if you're interested. I haven't seen you in a while, actually.
Yeah, I've had thoughts of Omen now.
Now get your ass in here.
I mean, this whole new old world thing, it's like $600 Australian, $500 Australian to get one of those army boxes for the old world. We're talking $500 Australian up to about $6, depending on where you look, to get one of those new old world book boxes. And it's like miniatures from 1993. Just remade. And I'm like, and all the people who are reviewing it, I watched a lot of reviews of the rules, and I think it's very much like Horus Heresy, where it's like a game made as a best of people's favorite 40K rules.
That's why I liked the Rogue Trader so much. The original was like, hey, we're giving you a background if you want to use it, but you can use these rules for anything. And then he mentioned Dune and other stuff, and I was like, man, this is so cool. And at the time, there were, it was hard to find anything, and then it just kept going and going. And I liked the original. It gave you what I felt was like a more tactical, realistic game. As I put that in quotes. It explained some of the game design. I really enjoyed that. And then, second edition came out. I got pumped. By the time third came out, I was like, no. And I'll be honest, third is probably, I understand why they did it for just money reasons, but that's not why I play games. I want to play it so I can, like test my mind and do different scenarios and do just cool stuff that's not limited just purely by the rule set. So,
Yeah, I just always
I had a lot of fun with second edition. It was, it brought it all together. It was all very organized, but it still had that first edition feel of make your army, down to each individual model. You were still doing point costs and equipping them. And after that, I'm done.
Well, and I love
this
this
so fast after the fact. It's like I
The
just
way
went
we-
through all this stuff, and now half my armies from second to third were no longer valid.
Oh,
the way we used to play was every person would bring one large squad or two small ones, and either a vehicle or a character, and we'd have 3 players per side and like 6 to 9 units on the table per side, and that was plenty. It was fun.
Oh,
that sounds like almost the perfect way to play when you're young, and you can't
We just
afford.
do good versus evil, and if we didn't have enough evil, like one of the legions would turn traitor, like.
Well, see, I also like the fact that it gave rules for the different monsters. In first edition Rogue Trader it's like, hey, you know what? This group can go underground. And I mean, they did have like, one character could get levels or, the equivalent of doing that. Man, that's what I wanted. I wanted the skirmish style, hey, let's move around. Let's, the very first scenario in the back, of the original Rogue Trader was you got a bunch of orcs looking for treasure and they just happen to bunch into a few space marines that are trying to escape.
You know what? It was fair. You know what? I just realized this just now. Back in the day, back in 1979, Heritage Miniatures had this game called Galacta 25, and it was the same exact premise. Every model was treated as like sort of an individual unit. You could then, equip them identically and then, put them into a unit.
Yeah.
But you point costed out every little thing. A rifle was this many points, a grenade, etc. And they managed to put that game in a 4-page folder along with a box set of 25 minis. And I played the hell out of that game for years before Rogue Trader ever came out. I mean, I still have it all. Well, unfortunately, it's all lead miniatures. As a matter of fact, they're not here.
Well, I know James L. said that he enjoyed this. I haven't been able to play it yet.
What is that?
It's the 5 Parsecs from Home. Basically, it's kind of an RPG style war game. It's solo.
So it's like 4 Against Darkness. But it's sci-fi.
James L. would probably know better than I do. No, it's basically you roll up your little war band.
Right.
And then you roll up what opponents you have. You take whatever miniatures you've got, and you play. I was like, well, that's cool. And I wanted to
it's like 4AD Shadow, but instead of mapping out your dungeon and maybe using minis or cheats or just even writing it in, it's more like you play it on the tabletop.
Okay.
Yes.
Because Rob Oren was doing a bunch of 4 Against Darkness playthroughs, and that reminded me of back in the day when I would try to play go through a dungeon module or something like that when I didn't have players around and test it out to see how I would run it differently with an actual group of players. And that was a lot of fun.
It's a great way to generate dungeons you'll use later on.
And I'm always a big fan of, not that I like solo role playing, but I like the idea where I could go in and say, okay, let me test this out and let's see how things would work, and then how the players might survive it or not. And players always surprise you. Whenever people talk about dungeon mastering, man, some of them, whenever we talk about railroads, I'll say this much. I love it when they do the right things and blow my plan completely out of the water. That's the one thing I love. Is just it's like, you know what? I never thought of that. It makes sense. Congratulations, you just beat whatever monster it is. Good job.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah, the whole railroad versus non-railroad discussion is almost moot. It's sort of like you have to have a backstory or a reason to be there, but you also have to be flexible and allow people to explore the setting. You know what I mean? Like that's just how it is. Like
I mean,
Well,
I kind of
a
bit of
lot of
both.
adventure modules are very. I mean, as soon as you go off the rails at all, you are no longer, you're no longer covered by the book that you're running. And
Yeah.
some GMs just they can't, they won't allow you to. We're doing this. Period. I paid the money for this module. You are going through it.
or
Okay,
they,
I'll just
or they
post
have
it.
it, or
That's satisfying for nobody though.
well,
True.
or this is the story I want you guys to run, and you can go through that. Stop. You have to follow this. That I have this whole thing planned out. And you're like, then why am I playing if I can't make choices? Now, to be fair, if I'm playing a module, I know it's always going to be kind of linear. It's always going to be kind of that aspect. I know that.
Yeah, I mean there are parameters. Like a
Yeah.
starship mining game is a starship mining game. You know what I mean? Like you're going to be there concerned mainly with that and things related to that, not oh, let's go off and like develop our psychic powers in this temple. Like.
Well, I mean,
know.
if the DM says, "Hey, I want to play a political intrigue game," I don't
Yeah,
expect lots of combat. That
Yeah,
kind of, or that's the kind of thing. But
Yeah.
but I just want.
But a good DM would still put a little skirmish in there just to raise the tension. Like
Well, yeah, but there's a difference between doing that and then suddenly, having the bait and switch, which I know some DMs want to do stuff like that, but I said no. I want players kind of know what's going on, unless they say, "Hey, I want to really be surprised." But you also have to get to know your group.
it's like when I watch reviews of like board games. I don't know if you ever watched the Dice Tower and like Tom Vassell and those people.
Sometimes
It's like
I've seen. It's been a long time. When I was first getting into YouTube, I was watching every channel out there to see, what was out there. I didn't know anything about YouTube.
Like he's a bit of a character, but if you actually listen to what he says, he's actually really incisive and he gives really.
Hey,
good
Arman,
brief.
what do you mind me asking what module that is that you're running for 18 months now? That sounds.
Let me guess. Mask of Nile.
He gives very good. He gives very good brief reviews, but I noticed that his taste is more like a worker placement kind of game than a war game. So that affects like the kind of things he recommends. Like that affects the storytelling that he's into compared to say what the discriminating gamer does, where he tends to like games that have a lot more fighting and warfare in it.
But I'm okay with that as long as I know where the
as long as you're aware of that, as long as you're going in expecting like, oh, we're going to play like the RPG version of a Euro game and it's about the economy and politics and stuff, that's fine.
It's the bait, like I said, it's the bait and switch that always gets me. If that's why I like the fact that they used to have the 4 or 5 different people talk about it. And like, oh, this is a good game. Which one do you like? Which one do you like? And some of them are, and I just had different ones. And we can all knock on it, but I did enjoy when Will Wheaton was doing his tabletop, showing the games that he was playing. And there were certain times I'm like, yeah, this game isn't for me. And other times like, yeah, that looks like a pretty cool game that I can play with certain people. And that's what I was trying to do. And
hey, Spence, I was wondering when you're going to get here.
Yeah, I'm asking people to recommend. I'm asking people to recommend more games that they would play with kids or like family lately, because like I'm like just enjoy the aspect of switching my brain off and like killing a cartoon goblin,
Hey. King of Tokyo is a great one.
Yeah.
Guys, I want to introduce you to my friend Spencer. I met him through Rick on 28 millimeters live traveler playthroughs, and we've been, chatting back and forth and doing stuff. What are you working on tonight, Spence?
Well, I was going to try and work on my Nemesis characters, but
You
my
got
son
to
took all paint.
You're the one that's been posting those. Oh, those
Yeah.
are kind of cool. Which version? Nemesis Lockdown?
I'm gonna make you
Nemesis, the
big,
first
so you
one.
got to show us your stuff. And I mean minis.
Ooh.
Those, I mean, the miniatures look really cool. I saw
Neat.
the Kickstarter, but I
Can we see
realized that
it's not in the camera.
Yeah, I know. I'm working on it.
Okay, there
I'm
you go.
using my phone.
Okay.
But no, I mean those
God.
miniatures are looking really cool. I was looking at getting that game for Nemesis,
Wow.
and then I realized that I would never play it unless my friend who gets all the board games
Give me
was
a
there.
second here.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
if he's going to get the games, then my God, why am I paying for him? So
that
funny.
is so.
It's
What's
funny
the name of that
because
game
there's so
again?
much-
it's called Nemesis.
Nemesis.
Yeah,
There's
it's
so
like
much
Alien.
culture-
It's like Alien. Is what the idea is. As you go
Right.
around the stuff. People say they love it or hate it, and sometimes they may love it when it goes right, and they hate it when it doesn't, because there's a lot of player elimination, and it takes kind of a long time. But no, I mean those miniatures are looking pretty nice.
Oh man.
Yeah, if you can move
Those
it back a little
tails,
bit,
whatever the hell those
little
things
bit.
are.
There you go. There. It's focusing a little bit better.
Earth to Father.
The problem is it's
I'm
focusing on your head more than the miniature.
I'm an owl. People are talking about solo games like it's a new thing, but honestly, it's like my preferred way to test things out and like do storytelling and stuff. There's like heaps of material out there on doing that. Heaps and heaps of material.
Yeah, that's all of Rob Oren's deal is, he was one of the first YouTubers that really inspired us.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, he inspired us so much that we did pull the trigger on Shadows of Brimstone. And he's an acquired taste kind of guy, but
Sure.
Jackie and I loved his Dark Tower playthroughs and some other stuff like that when Jackie was younger, and it was just he knows his stuff. He's an acquired taste.
He's
Like
a
you
larger-
said, he's a little gruff.
He's a
but-
larger than life character, but he's never steered me wrong on a recommendation.
Yeah,
The only games I'm not into are the more app-driven ones, but pretty much everything else is being right about.
yeah. I think he's kind of the same way with the apps. It's like if I need an app to play the game, what happens when the app is no longer supported?
Yeah. I'm not big on it either.
If you
but-
guys give me a minute, I'm going to switch to my computer. Give me
All
a
right.
couple
No
minutes,
worries.
guys. I'll be back.
The link is
No
still there,
worries.
brother.
No, I mean, there's a lot of, like you're saying with solo role playing games. I enjoy it. I like to do it to see where it's tested, but then I like the ability where you can play with more.
Yeah.
And
I
at
mean,
the end of-
ideally, you'd be part of 2 games clubs and down the library twice a week as well. But nobody has time or inclination.
Hey, that's this weekend. I got the library. Oh, I did drop off the miniature paints to Brian.
Where the hell is Brian?
I
He
don't
never
know,
misses
man.
this show.
I don't know. I had. Well, you know what? Maybe spend time with his wife. Good for him.
Hey, I'll let him know when he can do that.
Yeah, that's. But no, I mean,
Spending time with women is gay.
You sound exactly like Jackie.
No, it was. No, I went over there and dropped the
It's
stuff
totally
off,
cool, Brian.
and he was going
I
to
know
give me
you
the
watch
Hungar.
this later.
He was going
Just,
to drop off the Hungar miniature. He's like, "Hey, man, you can have that." I said, "Oh, that's cool." He's like, "Hey, you know what? I should pay it up for you." I said, "Brian, pay it if you want." Because he always complained that I'd force him to paint miniatures. Like, you volunteered. It's like, cool. If you want to do it, man, that's fine. So,
I've got 2 Hungars right here. Where's the other one? Where's the other one? Come on. What the hell? Oh, duh. I've got the big one, and I got the little one.
I think you got to go for the big one for this Hungar. You got to use him as a
Can
frost
someone-
guy.
And Jackie gets to paint this one someday. He's
Yeah.
not ready yet, and I'll paint the
Can
little
someone
one.
turn me into Sandworm stage Fall Atreides? I'd really like that.
You got to have that specialty. You got to be like dying in the hospital before a nerd's nerd will probably do that for you.
Yeah. I just want to be.
Actually,
I just
speaking
want to
of
be a
nerds, she's
Sandworm.
here. She's helping me work on a top secret project. That's why I wanted Brian to be here, because I was going to let him know that I need him to print off a crap ton of stuff. Isn't that right, nerds? For again, a top secret project, And yeah, and what's up, Crafting? It was nice hanging out with you yesterday. I thought you'd be doing table breakers right now.
Were they over with yet?
I don't know. Oh, nerds! I'm going to be keeping Brian in resin for the foreseeable future.
Oh, Brian is
no-
nuts with his resin stuff. I was just over there.
I have no
I was
problems
there.
with that.
I'm trying to think of when I was over there. I was there Sunday. I just stopped by real fast over at his place. And yeah, I think I woke him up though. But it was, but yeah. So yeah, that's but no, he got the paints, and we'll let you know. We were talking about it. Man, I just hate for those paints to go to waste. I've had them for like 7+ years.
Ooh, yeah. He definitely could benefit from a Vortex paint mixer if he doesn't already have one. Mine finally came in the mail today, and a little bit of, I've literally taken bottles of old paint and like acrylics, just hobby paint, craft paint, and added some water to it and taken like a needle to that hardened chunk of dried paint and literally turned it back into paint.
No. It was still. I opened a couple of the bottles. They still have some stuff. It's just separated. So they'll just
a
have
Vortex
to,
mixer or
yeah,
or something else, and he'll be fine.
Well, I mean, like I said, let him. If it works out, I mean, the paint was doing it good anyway.
If you take the spokes, if you attach paint to the spokes of a bicycle, just ride around, it'll
getting a little
crack the
background
paint
noise
up.
from your area, though, Spencer.
Yeah, I'm trying to take out the background noise.
Okay, it's getting better.
I'm trying to think if you have to take it. You probably have one coming from your computer and one coming from your headphones. You have to turn one of those off.
I don't think so. I've never had that problem before.
Well, we can hear people in the background. Not that I'm like a real stickler or anything like that about it, but just letting you know.
Yeah. It's usually what happens with my stuff here. Just give me a second.
No worries, man.
But no, I mean, the stuff that Brian was doing, it was pretty good, which is fine for someone that says he hates painting names before. He likes to assemble and put them all together.
I live in an apartment, so
Yeah, I know how that is. Hey, it's funny with Brian. He hates painting minis, but some of the most time-saving tips I've learned in the last couple of years about painting has literally been thanks to James L here with the Zenithal and a coat of speed paint, and it looks better than a lot of my old paint jobs. The way Brian paints, which I know is the base colors, wash, dry brush, or vice versa. I know he doesn't do a lot of edge highlighting, but
I'm telling you, is I've been over there, unless other people are painting his miniatures, which I mean happens, I think with his pygmies. He paints more than you think he does.
Oh, I know he does. That's why I'm surprised he's not here.
a little better quality for you guys to look at there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let me make you big. Let me blow you up.
There you go. Let's see.
That's
the problem is
crazy
you're still
shit,
focusing
man.
on your head. Try putting it more towards your nose.
It's a
Do you have like
spider
a?
baby.
Do you have like
spider
a?
baby.
You could do this trick, Spence. Put
Yo.
your hand behind the miniature, like do this.
Yeah. So basically, bring it close, and then So just focus. No, bring your hand closer to the camera.
Yeah, I've been having problems with this since I had to switch towers. So
Okay. Yep. Keep bringing it in.
Closer.
Yeah. Keep bringing it in. Now cover your face a little bit. Bring it in front of your head, so we can't see your eyes. No.
Bring it back a little.
Yeah. You need to put it in front of your face. There you go.
Okay, there you go. Oh, that is terrifying.
Those are. I saw them and I want to get it so badly, and then I realized first off I'm never going to paint them, and then number two is I knew that the only time I'm going to play with it is with my friend that has like 400 board games, and he has all of the versions too, and he goes like all out, so he'll get the newest one probably in 2025.
Yeah, I got the Bane paint on for these guys. I haven't got them all done yet, but
Yeah, no,
I just started doing it. So
yeah, but you're the one that posted them on Shadow's Discord, right? Yeah. No, they're looking good.
Yeah, it's my first time painting minis, so
Really?
yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, I kind of have an art for it. Runs in the blood. My grandmother was actually a professional artist, so.
Well, I'm a firm believer that a lot of
that
those
your
skills
grandmother.
and talents are hereditary.
So Spencer, I'm sorry your grandmother died of starvation. No. Sorry, I'm glad you found that funny. No, it's the
snap.
Oh, my grandmother's 94 right now, so.
Oh, that's cool.
It's getting close.
That's what the look was for. He's like, hey, wait a minute. My grandma's still alive. I just saw her over the holidays.
Yeah.
Wait, how do you...
No. Well, no, it's just it's the usual joke of you're not a real artist unless you're starving.
Yeah.
Somebody says he's a professional artist. I'm like, yeah.
Picasso.
Yeah. No, Picasso actually he did all sorts of stuff when he was alive. It's the other ones they all ignore until they're dead, and then all of a sudden everything goes up in value.
Yeah, Spencer sent me a really cool dream catcher over the holidays. I just haven't found a place to put it because if I put it outside, it's going to get destroyed. If I put it inside the wrong place, I'll never see it.
Just put it by your window. That's all you have to do. Catch all those bad dreams.
I don't have bad dreams.
Well, then obviously it's working.
You may have a point there.
I don't know. I noticed that when I was working out, I say working out is like when I killed myself. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been having these super vivid dreams. I'm like, what the hell? Normally I don't remember them. And this time they're like really, really vivid. So I'm like, okay, I guess it's when I work out, I dream a bunch.
I found if you eat chocolate before bed, that does it for me.
Oh, okay.
Where did
So go? For the last several years, right before bed, or sometimes I'll literally wake up in the middle of the night. It's like, I forgot to have a couple of cookies before bed. I'm not even kidding.
Now, for me, I'd wake up like I'll get super deep sleep like REM, and then I'll wake up and like, holy hell, what the that's it. That's your choose your own adventure right there with the dreams.
I know, right? So Spence, what's up with Rick? I mean to talk about it behind his back, but when are we going to play?
He just got over a really death-defying cold.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm kind of like struggling to not catch something here. I've got a little bit of a cough, and that's it.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed that's all it is, and it goes away. Jackie was laid up for almost his entire 3-week vacation.
Oh man, that's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, so he was stuck in his room playing video games,
Yeah.
Or watching videos, which, or working on his computer on his other projects. So it wasn't like, ruined like it would have been for us back in the day. But I still felt bad, we have done a few things together, but just not as many as I would like because, he was, kind of self-quarantining himself. And
well, he's been very angry lately, so he's done working at Mark's here at the end of next month too. So.
Oh man, that sucks.
He's getting, I don't know, he's changed since the last time we played.
Really, because he was one of the most happy-go-lucky guys I've ever met.
Oh, he's
Like,
still
we-
happy-go-lucky, but his train of thought is a lot different.
Is it all because of work?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been stressing him out. So he said he's done at the end of next month, and he's going to do security work for a while, I guess.
I had a friend of mine who got laid off in May, and he's still trying to decide if he wants to go back to work. They paid him too much money, so
You know,
He paid him too much money.
well, they were he was getting paid like $200,000 a year, and they laid him off.
Yeah.
Because he works in the oil industry. They're like,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
so when are you coming back? He's like, how much am I getting paid? And they wouldn't answer him. And he's like, look, they're like, yeah, but you're unemployed. I don't have money. So he went to Brazil, and I think he's going to start looking at working again in probably a month or two. But
Oh, yeah.
no, he's like, wow, it's so nice to have time off and spend time with family. So.
You know, Rick is probably one of those people who I think if he gave it a push could be one of the big YouTubers, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, like he's really authentic and nice, but his stuff is really interesting, and like he's opened Traveler up a bit for me, you know.
That's
So-
why he's like one of my mentors, especially
He
like
could
when
do
I
board
first met
games.
him. So
He could do board game stuff as well. Like, I think, you know, yeah, it takes a while for that sort of thing to pay off, but I think he's one of those people who could like keep it pretty real and like do well at it, you know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, I bought the Traveler stuff. Well, I bought one from Humble Bundle, and then they had a couple of other stuff in the newer one. So I'll get that, with the High Guard. Because I always love spaceships. I really wish we had more of that. I love the old space battles and stuff like that. And admittedly, I was fine with cardboard counters. Miniature's always nice, but like, oh man, they're a pain in the butt to lug around unless you're playing at home. But yeah, it's but no, I like Traveler for what it is. I definitely think that I'm more of a tech level 12, and that 10 to 12. But no, it's unfortunate that he's busy and doesn't have time. So no, Shadow was really looking forward to that at the beginning of the year, along with his high seas campaign.
Yeah, I'm working on that. I'll get to it. I will.
I swear I will. Really believe me? No.
Yeah.
I
It's to the point now too. I got to look for a full-time job too. So I've been hitting the ground running lately.
Good for you, man.
Working part-time is not really helping our current situation and our problems. So
Are you in Canada as well?
yeah, I'm in Canada as well. Yeah.
Yeah, like I
live
look at Ash
in the
from,
same city as Rick does right now. So
Okay.
like I look at Ash from Gorilla Miniatures. Like he's really helpful when it comes to learning about different games.
Oh man, that guy's
He's
one of
really
the best.
onto it, like 24/7. Like smashing it out. I often don't understand rules without watching a couple of videos as well.
how I actually got into Nemesis was watching. I heard about it through Rick, and I watched his video on painting minis on his Nemesis, and I'm like, oh, this would be kind of cool. So I found a YouTube site, a YouTuber called No Rules Barred.
Okay.
And he did a run through with his friends there on how to play it, and I'm like, dude, I want to try this out.
I saw, what was the one? Was it Shut Up and Sit Down or something like that? I watched several
those
of them
guys
out
too.
there. A lot of I was watching, and
Hey, what's up, Colonel Kronk?
sometimes I enjoy watching whatever they're doing for that, and it's like, okay, we're gonna get this game, but I've really started cutting back on a lot of them because I'm not playing them, or I try and get my son to play something, even if he enjoys it. He like, what do you want to play? And we only play like 3 games. We play Forbidden Desert, King of Tokyo. By the way, Forbidden Desert is probably another good one for you.
King of
there.
Tokyo is pretty fun too. We got that game here
Tell
too.
me all of your silly board games because I want to know them all. Like,
Oh
all of them.
that-
all of your fun ones. All of your. They don't have to be serious. Your serious
No.
ones too, if you like them.
well, Flashpoint was a lot of fun too.
Mhm.
Some of these are cooperative, which makes a big difference because sometimes
Mhm.
people be in there. So Flashpoint's cooperative. Forbidden Desert's a great one. That one's cooperative. King of Tokyo takes about 20-25 minutes to play a game.
What is King of Tokyo? Okay, we slow down. You're just rattling off names. They could be any kind of game. What are they?
Okay, give me 1 second here since we're.
King of Tokyo is a really fun game. Actually, Rick got us into that one. He brought it over one time.
What kind of game is it? I mean, is it?
It's not really a miniature game, but you're a character and basically you're just battling for first place there.
So if you're gonna get King of Tokyo, get that, and I recommend the expansion.
Is it based on an IP or something like that?
Just imagine like everything for Godzilla with silliness.
So it is like a kaiju game.
Yeah, basically
Okay,
you have.
That's all you got to say.
Yeah. I mean, you've got that, and the idea is, the King of Tokyo is whoever gets 20 victory points for the last one standing, and it's best played with about 3 or 4 players. 4 is I find good, and there's that one. The other one is King of New York, which is a little bit more complicated.
They got that one at my nerd shop there. So.
Oh, what's Small World like? I always wanted to try Small World.
You know what?
Cute.
It's kind of a cute game, and that would probably work out. But that's a little bit more complicated. If you want to have a lot of fun, I don't know about you, but this is kind of fun, catching guns.
Okay.
What you do is, but this is for a larger group. We're talking like 4 to 8 people, and ideally like 6 or more. Where each of you pretend that you are gangsters that have just pulled off a heist, and you can't trust everyone. And you get these little rubber guns, and they go 1, 2, 3, and you point them at each other, and then everyone has like 3 bullets out of I think 8 rounds. Anyway,
right.
And you get 3 health. You can either put down your gun, and then whoever's.
We used to play this game in the hood, in the projects.
Oh, that's good. Except that was with real heists, and it was usually no.
Yes.
But no, I'm trying to go for ones that aren't too long. But yeah, Forbidden Desert's a great one. And that one, what you do is you set out your tiles, and you're trying to find hidden parts before you run out of water and die.
One I really want to wait for, but I'm actually waiting for the game to come to my place is Deep Madness.
What's that one?
It's basically a co-op game, and it's pretty much you enter a mine, but you got all these different monsters and stuff like that. You got objectives to collect, and it's sort of like Nemesis, except a lot more hardcore towards monsters.
Okay.
I don't really know how to explain it properly because I haven't really properly played through. Rick has a game that I was actually a part of, recorded onto his 28mm site.
Oh,
he did a live playthrough with us. And if you want to see what it's about, you can go on to Kickstarter, type in Deep Madness, and they have like a campaign section on there, and they got a little video.
all right. So I've got one other one here for Shadow in particular, which was a lot of fun when I played it in college. Shadow, have you ever played Bang?
Nope.
It's right up your alley.
Oh, okay. I see. I could get.
That looks like an oldie but a goodie.
This one, well, it was pretty good for having everyone picks a character, and so you each have a role. So one person's the sheriff, and his role is to get rid of all of the basically the bandits, and then you have rogues. Then you have one or two deputies, depending on the number of people playing, and no one knows who the deputy is. And the deputy's job is to make sure that the sheriff survives. And then I think it's the bandits. The bandits' job is to kill off the sheriff. And then the rogue is the one that's supposed to be the last one standing.
Very interesting.
But each of you gets to play a character, and like they have the equivalent of like Calamity Jane, and any of these other things that are out there.
Okay.
And you have your weapons, and of course you get cards that go like bang. That allows you to do the damage. And then the other part is that you can regain health by drinking whiskey.
Of course you do.
Yeah. So it's probably one of those that'd be great to play with your son. And
the true Western way.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I think they had different ones in there, but yeah, we played at one point. I think that we had all the expansions. We were playing with.
Hey, Sean, what's happening?
So let's see. Just so Shadow can get some of these, you get bullets, and then some of the cards out there, depending on what type you want. Then you can pull a card out that says like they missed. But yeah, it's and then you get the characters, and they each have a number of bullets next to them as far as health. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's one that you would really enjoy, Shadow, for its a simple
simplicity and Western style.
Oh yeah,
I love a good Western game. I would love a good Western board game. I really would.
I'm telling you, man. I've got quite a few. I'm looking at Gunslinger from Avalon Hill. Boot Hill is a great. It's a role playing game, but you could easily just run it as a gunfight at the OK Corral kind of game. And believe it or not, it's for as old and time honored as it is, you can always find a cheap copy of it out there. And to be honest, you can also find the PDF for free out there. Because it was kind of like the way Omen looked at Star Frontiers originally. You could play it as an RPG, or you could play it as a board game, right? And of course, Shadows of Brimstone. If you need a new addiction, if you're tired of heroin and you want to spend money on something more expensive, then I would recommend Shadows of Brimstone.
I'll never tire of heroin. I love it.
Well, if you've got you got two hands, you can tie off, play some. No, drugs are bad, kids. Stay in school. It's easily one of my top 3 favorite games of all time. You can play it solo, you can play it with the group. It's not a versus game.
They call me heroin.
Game.
They call me Heroin Jim.
You better be careful next time. I will edit your title when you come on the show. Hey, it's Heroin Jim.
That's right. But yeah, Shadow. So this is how thick the booklet is to learn the game.
Oh, okay.
So it's got, I guess it's maybe 10 pages long or something like that. But yeah, but yeah, I mean, then they give each of the different characters like Bart Cassidy, Blackjack, Calamity Jane.
Hey, there you are, Al. Long time no see, man.
El Gringo, Jesse Jones, Kit Carlson, Lucky Duke, Paul Regret, Pedro Ramirez. They're all having fun in there.
All the classics.
Pedro Ramirez.
Yeah. So
I think I knew a Pedro Ramirez. If not great.
And it says it takes 20 to 40 minutes to play it with like 4 to 7 players.
So a nice, easy beer and pretzels game.
Well, exactly. And we had a lot of fun with it, especially at the time where, because you go bang whenever you're going to shoot someone. It just so happened that one of the people we were playing with, she was with her boyfriend, like, come on, Nicole, go bang your boyfriend. So, no.
All right, here's my next poll. What's your favorite war movie and why?
Ooh, war movie?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go.
If at all.
I'll say this much: We Were Soldiers.
Mhm.
That's actually a really good one.
Now, a lot of that is because I grew up around helicopters for most of my life, so it reminds me a lot of my father. And my father was kind of that. He was kind of like the main character in there with Hal Moore. Very similar mentality, very similar. We need to do this. We need to do that.
Another good one would be Wind Talkers with Nicolas Cage.
Never seen that one. I've seen almost all of his movies too, but I haven't seen that one.
That's actually a really good one.
Who's out here at the moment?
Oh, I mean, I've seen a lot of the World War II stuff. I'll have to remember which ones are in there. And then some of them are just, some of the other questions, do you want them to be funny or not? I don't know if any of you ever watched Jarhead. That one was that seemed to be pretty reminiscent of, a lot of being bored, going out, overseas.
Blackout Down was actually not bad.
I didn't read the book. I read the my parents got the book. I read the what was it called?
That's a good one.
I like Kelly's Heroes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Kelly Heroes is a lot of fun to watch. I still, what was it? They had Best Stone.
Yeah. Von Ryan was good too. Dirty Dozen was like ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
and fantastic.
Yeah, Dirty Dozen is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, the Dirty Dozen was great.
I just love Telly Savalas.
Well, yeah. Well, I still like the that was great. What were some of the other ones I've seen? I know I've seen some of the Russian ones. I can't remember if it was White Tiger or T-34. It was one of those that I enjoyed.
I don't know. Would The Patriot with Mel Gibson be a decent one to add in there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, good one.
Yeah. I haven't watched that one.
That's actually one of my favorite movies of Mel Gibson was The Patriot.
And being a metal miniature collector, I watch him melt those down, and I'm just like, oh, I would do the same thing,
It was an interesting kind of little motif that was throughout the movie. It was like a little artistic choice. I mean, Mel makes a lot of them. I wish in Braveheart that he hadn't put blue paint and tartan all over the Scots, because they pretty much would have dressed the same way as the English at that point.
Yeah.
But otherwise, good luck to him, I suppose. He's not reinventing the year the Enigma code was discovered like some people.
Oh, I'm trying to think. I've seen so many, and it was just like I said, I'm not a big Western fan. And then I went through all the Western movies I said, holy crap, I have a lot of Westerns.
The uniforms in The Patriot are surprisingly accurate. The formations less so, but the uniforms are actually pretty spot on.
Speaking of Westerns, one of the best comedies I've watched was Trinity Is Still My Name. Or They Call Me Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
Never seen it.
Oh, it's like a 1970s classic comedy.
Kind of like an exploitation kind of movie, or?
Yeah, it's about a quick gunslinger, and his brother is like a big beefy bug guy and just bonks everyone over the head and knocks him out type thing.
I still need to watch Master and Commander at some point.
That's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, I've heard it's good.
I've heard it's fairly good for that. I'm trying to think of, the thing is, like we're saying, well, it's a war movie. Like, well, which war movie? I still enjoy, which I'm not sure if it counts because it's from a Shakespeare play. I still enjoy Henry V by Kenneth Branagh.
Mm-hmm.
When they're going through that and fighting at the Battle of Agincourt.
You're talking about Westerns there too, and one of the ones that I really enjoyed watching was The Quick and the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
That was okay. That's with Sharon Stone, right?
Sharon Stone and what the hell is this? Gene Hackman?
Gene Hackman's one of my all-time favorites. I was just talking about him last night with Crafting Gamer and the guys over on Gatekeepers.
Oh, yeah.
A Bridge Too Far. I remember that one. The Longest Day. It did. Boy, you want to see like a bunch of cameos? Go watch The Longest Day. It's got.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
it's got like everyone in there.
Yeah, it's a bit.
What about Midway?
It becomes
What do you guys think of
gratuitous.
Midway?
I liked Midway. I really do like Midway.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one that I enjoyed. I'm not sure if this counts. Is what about Spartacus? Does that count?
Spartacus,
Yeah,
I
sure.
really enjoyed
Why
that
not?
one.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
The only one I really enjoyed out of
El
Spartacus
Dorado, Rio
was.
Bravo, great movies.
Are we talking about like the TV series?
No. I'm
Hey,
referring to.
guys, I need to take a quick break.
Okay.
I'm assuming I'm leaving the channel in safe hands, but
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
the movie Spartacus then.
yeah, of course. The other one is
Alright.
just way too stylized and
Yeah.
Well, these Marian Romans, hopefully one day I'll get some gladiator figures and do an offshoot Spartacus Revolt Army. That would be fun.
You know,
a little bit
Gladiator
custom.
was a good one with what's his
Yeah, it
name?
was
there?
actually. Was pretty good.
Gladiator. To me, Gladiator was one of those that they needed to cut about 20 minutes off the movie. It really needed to be tightened
Sure,
up.
sure. But the battle scenes were
Sure,
great.
it's more, Hollywood, but it was actually a really well played out movie.
I'm trying to
And
think of
Joaquin Phoenix was like quite good as like the mad baddie,
he was, but there were certain times I'm like, you know what? Like when they had Richard Harris, like, you can cut this down by about 5 minutes. While, there were several times I just felt that it was just taking too long. So just like,
Well,
just go do it.
Instead of getting to the point and being like, hey, let's finish it.
Well, kind of like you don't have to go through the weird, long dialogue.
Mhm.
You can tighten it up. Like if he kills his father, there you go. If he rapes his sister, there you go. Boom. Not that you have to show it. You just have to just go. But don't do that really weird, dialogue at the beginning. I'm like, here's what you do. You suddenly fade to black, and boom. We all know what happened there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was Ridley Scott. I mean, look what he did to Napoleon.
Well, look what he did with Prometheus.
I didn't mind Prometheus. It just got a bit jumbled towards the middle. That's all. Like, the story got a bit lost towards the middle, I think, and overall, it was like reasonably well cast, and like, David Ape kind of carries the movie a little bit with his Lawrence of Arabia impersonation, but
I'm trying to think of what other movies are out there. I know I've seen some of the old stuff. I'd still like to see, what is it called, The Beast. I haven't watched that one.
Mm-hmm.
Where they have the Russian tankers trying to escape from the Afghans.
Right.
So I've heard good things about that one.
That'd be no mean feat.
We're talking about war movies. How can we forget about Patton?
I haven't seen Patton actually, but I shouldn't I?
Oh, come on. You got to see at least, George C. Scott. And if we're going to talk about this, can we count one for the Cold War with Dr. Strangelove, or does that not count?
It does, because it occurred to me today that like all Cold War wargaming is now more or less fantasy wargaming, and I can do it. It doesn't count as a purchase thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
I still would like to watch 1917. I'm trying to think of what other ones they had.
Behind Enemy Lines was a decent one.
Which one was that one? Was that the where I've heard about it? Is that with Brad Pitt?
He got shot down. A pilot got shot down and is in the war zone. He's stuck in the war zone and he's trying to find his way out, type thing.
Yeah.
Enemy at the Gates is good.
I didn't like Enemy at the Gates because I was too familiar with the actual snipers, and it kind of bugged me. That's sometimes where I think the Russian films do a really good job, because they didn't have as much going there.
The Russian films are a bit like Chinese films. They have like bullet time every time someone pours a cup of tea. You know. Anyway, I'm going to bounce. I put my second coat of primer down. I'm going to go rest. I'll see you guys later.
All right,
Hey, have a good one, bud.
Okay.
Good to meet you guys finally.
Hey,
Yeah.
don't paint yourself blue with the primer, okay?
I'll do my best.
So,
Oh man.
there were a lot of them in there, but sometimes when you're talking about war movies, I actually prefer the documentaries a lot more when they go through those and they talk about the actual battle and how they're moving along.
Yeah, how they actually set him up and made it look like the actual reenactment type thing.
Oh yeah. They went through the different battles and stuff like that. And that's one of the reasons I loved wargaming, was I learned more about history and battles from wargaming than I ever did anything else.
Mhm.
Like I didn't really care about Gettysburg, but my father bought the game called Gettysburg. Well, one of the mini games on the computer, one of them called Gettysburg. And I studied the hell out of that one. Same thing with the war on the Eastern Front. My father had an old game on the Atari 800 that we would play. And, let me go to the background. Let me go look at this. And I know, so. This is right after Major Musings with the Abraham Lincoln, the Vampire Hunter. That was the worst thing that happened to him in the theater. So
What, that Abraham Lincoln, the Vampire Hunter movie?
Yeah.
Where did James go?
He had to bounce.
He said he was gonna primer and then he was gonna lay down.
Okay.
Or he put his second coat of primer on. Now he's going to rest.
Yeah.
Okay, James. Well, if you're still listening, I hope you're feeling better. You guys are mentioning all kinds of great movies.
Well, I do like my movies.
At a certain point, I don't like the very beginning, but maybe at some point I'll watch the end someday of The Sound of Music.
Independence Day was okay.
The one with Will Smith?
Yeah.
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 He kind of ruled it, but Jeff Goldblum was actually really good in that one.
Come here and pop it on. Yeah, I've got mixed feelings about him. I've seen a lot of things that he was in that I really liked. The Fly was amazing.
Yeah, the Fly was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But lately, he's coming across more and more as like a really rich weirdo. You know what I mean?
A real drama queen, if you ask me. Take a look. He was in Thor Ragnarok. He did not portray himself very well.
Oh, really? I wasn't. Well,
or
I don't really
Silverado. He was good in Silverado. Playing a scumbag, but
What about Jurassic Park?
Those were some of his. I want to say the movies where he came across as the most decent guy in most of his movies.
Yeah.
But
what's the
kind of a rich weirdo?
Wait a minute. If we're going to talk about something, if we're going to do about this, just for you, is I mean that is true. If you look at it, that people become so disconnected. Wasn't he in Buckaroo Banzai, or am I getting that wrong?
I don't remember. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. It's weird. I hang around with like so many movie fans, and I don't know. I must have been busy doing so many other things that I missed so many of the movies you guys mentioned. It's amazing.
Oh, wait a minute. Jeff Goldblum is in it. Yes, I knew. I thought you really liked that one. I don't know. That was just kind of weird.
I did like it, but that was, probably 35 years ago. I mean,
yeah,
literally, I just, while you guys were watching movies, I was probably in a game or working or doing something that I'd rather not talk about.
Hey, you have more
Solomon
than I did.
James, I always wanted to see that movie, and I haven't gotten to see it.
What movie?
Solomon
Earth Girls
Kane.
I'm sorry. I thought that you said Earth Girls Are Easy.
No, Solomon Kane.
I thought you were trying to say Hunger Games. I'm like, oh, it's not.
Yeah, I saw that movie and I did not like it.
So I'll mention this one. Solomon Kane was pretty good. You can tell it's in a lower budget. And then the other one I think that's really good for movies is Judge Dredd.
No, right?
No. I'm sorry. Dredd. Dredd. The one that came out in 2012.
Okay,
really,
that one's not bad.
I actually like the one with Stallone and Rob Schneider because I love Rob Schneider as a comedian. I watched probably 45 minutes of his stand-up last night. Another comedian that I've really been getting into lately was Jay Moore. That guy is one of the best impersonators I've ever come across. His Christopher Walken is freaking perfect. And of course, anything with Christopher Walken is phenomenal.
Could you still imagine Christopher Walken as Han Solo?
That is hilarious.
Bad. Oh my god.
No. He was offered the part, by my understanding.
Oh, really?
Wow.
That's by my understanding. He was offered the part of Han Solo and turned it down.
Wow.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That would have been the best.
That would have been actually thinking about it.
If there are screen tests of him with it, I have got to see that. And Gina Davis, I always liked Gina Davis. I didn't know she was in that because she was also in The Fly and Beetlejuice, and apparently she's like pretty badass with a bow. Not really surprising, but kind of surprising.
They're actually coming out with a second Beetlejuice with Michael Keaton still.
Yeah, well, Gina Davis actually went to the Olympics, I think, in 1996 for her archery.
I know. I've already got him in my head, Mages. I'm picturing all those lines with Christopher Walken. Oh my god, that would have made that movie the best movie ever of all freaking time.
So okay. Apparently, and I don't know. Apparently, Christopher Walken was number 2, not number 1. But then Al Pacino apparently said that he auditioned for it as well. So, but Christopher Walken would have been hilarious for that.
That would have been.
Yeah, but it would have been a completely different movie. I'm not sure.
It would have been, yeah.
Could you picture him talking to the, in the reactor scene in Star Wars, boring conversation anyways.
Well, they would have had to add about 5 more minutes, to each of the movies just to let him get his lines out. Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I've got to find if there are any screen tests of that. That would just, oh my god. or better yet, like hand him the script and just have him cold read it. Just Han Solo's lines. Just
that's what they should have done.
That'd be pretty awesome.
That's what they should have done with the robot chicken stuff that they did with it. They should have had him do that or the Family Guy version. Yes.
Like Seth was going to let that part of Han Solo go to anybody but himself. I can't picture that. The trash compare.
I can imagine him being defrosted from Jabba the Hutt and just calling out for Chewie. That would be funny.
So, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I know you were talking about war movies. I'm trying to think of some other ones that are out there. One it wasn't the greatest, but I did enjoy some of it. Is if you watched Kingdom of Heaven.
Never seen it.
Basically, it's Orlando Bloom protecting Jerusalem from the Moors, or I guess it's technically the Ottomans.
I forget the name of the one that Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson played. Some sort of lawyer show.
Oh.
Wasn't it?
Oh, you're talking about A Few Good Men?
I think so. Where they're in the Jag and he's being
We're just
grilled.
talking about war movies.
Yep.
Hey, buddy.
Hello.
Hey.
He's working on a craft, making a mask out of foam.
Oh, right on.
Watch out, watch out.
Oh, I haven't seen that in ages.
Yeah, we're showing those off as we were talking about the airships from Dungeons and Lasers.
Chewy.
Yeah, it's that cosplay foam, and we printed off a template and cut the foam out. It's actually I kind of like the potential that we could use that stuff for, because we want like a big sheet of it, thinking we were going to use way more than we did.
Yeah.
You thought I had no idea.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect it to be that much, which
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Yeah.
No,
So if you're making costumes or something like that for a convention or something,
this is what everyone uses. There's multiple. Apparently, there's like a gray and white foam, which is more dense.
no, really.
Metal lead is more dense.
I only saw the gray at the.
Oh yeah, that's fine. But it's like if you ever want to make a prop or something, you use the more dense foam. If
Okay,
you want
it's
something
like
to
a
be-
sword or something.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you make like a gun or something, if you make something that's supposed to be metal, like because you can mix the foams or whatever. I got a video and I recommended about it. Because
I'll put that on my list, nerds. I've never seen it. A Few Good Men was okay. Not like a huge Jack Nicholson fan.
was Kingdom of Heaven the movie made by Ridley Scott, the guy who made?
Did Ridley Scott make Kingdom of Heaven?
I feel like he made.
I can't remember. It's been, I enjoyed it, but at the time I was also with a veterinarian, and we were talking about different things like the horses and stuff. So
What did I do with my pen, guys?
Because I remember hearing that movie was kind of good, but also cringe in some other areas.
I didn't think it was that cringe. I just thought it was. It's one you really have to get into. I think it's kind of like El Cid.
Well, no, I mean like it was kind of biased and incorrect on some parts, and then other parts.
It's a movie. It's always going to be incorrect.
You're saying yes, it was Ridley Scott.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know I've heard good things about it, but I've also heard bad things about it. And I've seen good, and I haven't. Everything I've seen is good, but I haven't seen much.
Holy moly! They added an extra 50 minutes for the director's cut.
Yeah, that's
Okay, and James is adding his favorite Chaos Champion names. We've got Quiverable Moan Spite, champion of Slanesh. A Blogdor Tube champion of Nurgle. I was never a big Chaos fan, to be honest, in any of the 40K stuff, other than Zeech. Woundlore, Axkin, champion of Corn. Okay, let's hear your Zeech. Champion there, James.
Oh no, that's just all we can get is porn star names after this.
Inconvenient bus schedule change champion of Zeech.
That's pretty good, James. That's actually pretty funny. Well, I admit that I like the older version of some things with Warhammer when they had it, where you had the forces of law and chaos, and law wasn't considered good, and chaos wasn't. I mean, chaos was pretty bad, but law wasn't much better. You're like, I want
My
to be
kid is trying to get me into Warhammer.
You know what though? This comes back to go find a different rule set, and then just buy the miniatures you like and third party, and you'll save yourself a lot of money.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you should get into the Rats, Dad. I'm like, why? I got enough minis. I'm going to be starting to paint here right away. Like,
either maybe this.
Now, how old is your son?
He turned 22 today.
Do it like
Actually,
this,
Oh, okay.
and then we focus on one half. Like we do the front half.
You didn't
Yeah,
really start getting into Warhammer until like last year, I think it was last year or the year before.
The back might
problem
not even.
the problem I have with Warhammer, I know we were talking about this earlier, is I want a rule set that I still feel is somewhat realistic.
Perfect.
And Warhammer, the way it's played, is not even close. I don't feel, like I can really do real world tactics and get something that pays off for it. And the other problem is that I like skirmish games. I don't want any more than maybe about 20 on each side. And that's not the way, they don't make a lot of money off of that. So.
No. I'm sort of that way with the way he plays with his D&D friends and stuff like that. Like, I'm a part of his group and stuff, but the way they portray, and they play the game, I'm like, I'm more, and, Shadow can agree with me, is more theater of the mind. It's a lot easier to play the game and be in character than, to having to roll dice all the time. So.
Yeah, the other problem I have with that is I like fast forwarding past bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't really need to do all of the minutia, the minute to minute, second to second role playing every, major, all the minor, aspects of,
Yeah. Like when you start attacking someone, it's like, well, you got to roll for initiative. It's like, no, I just want to attack the fucking guy.
No, I mean like the character interactions with each other, and with NPCs and things like that. I'm perfectly fine with breezing through a lot of some of those aspects to get the story moving along. I don't need it to be a literally like 1 to 1 second, reenactment of what's every single step of the character's actions and what have you, or the party, I should say.
I mean even in books at a certain point is you get on the ship and we'll fast forward 2 weeks or something, it's
all of that, and there's a good amount of that I would continue to do, just like I said, to get the story moving along, get to where the action is, or something that's kind of important to the story, as opposed to
I'll tell you this much. I know that they're
like, especially like the commerce, the buying and selling, going and haggling and trading, things like that, or whatever, the shipboard life, or what you had for breakfast or what you're eating in the meals and stuff like that. I don't want to do that. I want to just you guys had breakfast. Now you're by the horses and you're getting ready to leave. Some of everything, and I don't need to like role play through a lot of those kinds of activities, I should say.
Well, some of it you can just go, look, it's another day of gruel with the slop and whatever. You just explain at the very beginning just to get you into the mindset of whatever you're playing in. But I agree with you. Some of these things, I know people want to play. Look, sometimes let the DM just do his little narration of how your day went and just go through it. It's like, oh, okay. But sometimes players get mad. I have to roll for this. I don't want that to happen. It's like,
what if I have someone
let it go.
Well, it's weird because going from playing like an hour and a half session with Shadow and Rick and all them to being a part of a group that plays for like 3.5, 4, 5, 6 hours. I'm like, I can't do that. Like, I will literally die.
I mean, for me is when we did this, in the middle we did about 4 or 5 hours. Is we used to play for 2 hours. We'd stop. We'd have a meal.
Yeah.
Like we put everything aside. We'd sit down. We'd have the meal, and then when we were done with the meal, we would get back and play another 2 hours or so. I mean, I would love to play some really long games, but man, I don't have a lot of free time. I mean, I have like free time in like 2 hour blocks, but I don't have it like, those 6 hour blocks I used to as a kid. Like, I remember we would start at like 4 p.m. and we would play until like you know, until we'd be like, oh, the sun's coming up, you know, and
Yeah. It's the same that we are too. Like my family is a very busy family, so you know, finding time to play like that is a rare commodity.
you know, and I play. I mean, I'll play 4-hour games with online.
It's definitely a younger man's game. You know, the longer sessions. You know, I know that when I was young, you know, a decade or more ago, we would play for 5, 6,
Yeah.
you know, 7, 8 hours, depending on the day of the week. You know, and we'd be eating at the table and snacking and doing all that stuff. And you know, it wasn't, you know, pure role playing, but a lot of times, you know, there were different things going on and different characters and different, you know, split up little subgroups and things like that, doing different things. But, you know, most of us are, you know, we've got a whole lot of other responsibilities and activities and jobs and things like that. So, we most of us just don't even have the time to dedicate like we used to. And I've noticed even the younger generation, they don't actually have that kind of free time either. You know, when Jackie and his friends play, they play about 2 hours, maybe 3 tops, and then their parents want them home and, you know, doing whatever. You know, they don't get, you know, how anything can take longer than it takes to watch a movie.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, and
No.
I guess when we were younger, we were a lot less supervised, you know, and now we've got parents that you know need to know
how it all originated for my son was his best friend has a place just out on the outskirts of town here, and what would happen is they would pick a night and they would go all night, you know, play all night and then sleep for a bit and then come home. Well, now that he's working out in the patch, basically that got down to nothing. So we started doing it in the house here just recently, and now it's like 6, you know, 4, 3, 4, 5 hours at a time, and I get antsy. Like, I don't mind playing. It's just an hour and a half, 2 hours would be the perfect stint to play now. So.
Well, I'm going to mention this much. We probably play 3 real hours during like EO Geeks game on Saturdays. But some of it is that, you know, it just depends on what you're going for. And, you know, so it's not that I don't enjoy being out there, but man, 4 hours in person, plenty in most cases. And the other part is I like to do it more in the afternoons than late in the evenings. That's why when everyone's like, oh, we're going to do it this night on like a Wednesday night. And I'm okay, what time will I get home? What time do I have to leave? So if it starts at 7, I'll be home at 11. It takes me an hour to unwind, so I won't really go to bed till 12:30. I have to get up at 6:30, and I'm like, you know.
Yeah, you know, you brought up a good point. I remember a lot of our gaming for me was like from 3:30 to 8 or 9, rolling through dinner, and you know, like after school, after college, you know, some folks wouldn't get there till 4 or 5, you know, 5:36, you know, because of their jobs, and things have actually changed a lot since those days. And Al, it's been a long time since I've done an 8-hour on streams. But you're right, it has become something of a hobby itself, the live streaming. I'm trying to get more done during the day. But if I see one of my friends like today, James and Hungar were doing a stream, I'm like, I've got to hang out with my you know, my bros, especially Hungar, you know, for obvious reasons.
Well, and now when do I start playing games? I play them from 8 till noon because I want the rest of my day free. You know, that's the, you know, and we'll see.
Yeah, that would be a great time slot. Is morning to pre-dinner, and then unfortunately that's what Jackie's at school.
Oh yeah. Well, and you don't work. I know that.
No, but Jackie would miss out on some of those games, and I would like to get him into a quality game. Not saying that his friends don't run a quality game, but to see the difference.
I'm gonna take off here, guys.
All right,
I gotta
No
eat
worries,
supper.
Spence. I'm gonna actually end this in a little bit as well.
I did send you a link to one of my pages in Discord, Shadow. Check it out.
Cool.
It's got dream catchers and headdresses and some artistic stuff for you to look at.
I had a feeling.
So, you guys take her easy and
Spence, anytime you see us doing the show, if we've got less than 6 people, let me know and I'll shoot you the link. Or if you just want to let me know before the show, I'll send you the link. Come on in and hang out with us.
I'll try and hang out Saturday with you guys with your sci-fi night.
Absolutely welcome for that too. And I definitely want to see some progress on whatever you're painting.
Yeah, my kid took my paints, so I can't really do much tonight. He went to work with them. They're doing a big paint night at his work there. So
now, where does he work, if you don't mind?
It's called Wonderland Toys, and it's
okay.
like a hobby shop there. So
sure. I was just curious.
Those are great jobs, man.
Yeah, well, we're trying to run our own nerd shop down in Calgary when we get there. So we'll see how far.
But L, that's 8 hours a day, but it's not. But it's 8 hours broken up. There's a big difference.
Yeah. Well, he basically runs the kitchen in there. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It is. I've seen him do the work, and I've helped him out a few times. But, anyways, guys, you guys have a great night, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Have a good
night.
Good
seeing you again. Hey, say hi to Rick and Gordo and God, I feel bad. I forgot his name. You know what I'm talking about. The guys from our crew.
Yeah. He's hanging with a new group now, but I'll let them know.
Chewy.
All right, cool.
All right, guys, take care.
Take care. Yeah, Rick runs a great game, and I miss it. But if he's going to be busy, I need to. That's one of the things I've been worried about with the nautical game. There, Omen is when could I run it? There's so many people who want to be in it. But my schedule was the biggest thing in the way. I've got Sundays and Mondays, and Sundays was my game with Rick. Mondays now Jackie's show, so I got to be there for that. Unless I
said Saturday night to me is the best one. Is you replace that with your sci-fi thing, and
yeah, I know. That's a toughie.
That's unacceptable.
well, you've kind of like beaten that horse to death at a certain point. You've like already got topics, maybe, but I mean,
we'll see. We're going to do part 2 of Armor, and this time we're going to actually talk about the higher tech stuff with
the Shadowbow chats are basic. Let me summarize the Shadowbow chats.
If you're going to do that, you got to get in front of the camera.
Fine.
Yeah.
This is how the Shadowbow chats go. Part 1, like for a hypothetical example, part 1, the benefits of using a moderately low-tech sci-fi setting that has like a 20% alien population in the story. And then for because that's the kind of topics that you're going to start using soon. Then for half of not all of part 1, you talk about that. Shadowbow asks the question, one person answers it, kind of, and then they start kind of going off at the end. Then the second person doesn't answer it at all. They start talking about it and immediately get sidetracked with talking about like a movie or a book or something. And then the rest of the whole show is nothing about the topic. So then there has to be a part two, which is like 30 to 40% the topic. And obviously a part 3 would just be ridiculous. So it ends there.
Hey, I've been keeping him on track with Armor, last week.
We were doing good until that unfortunate business. We were doing pretty good.
What happened?
We will talk about it later.
What happened?
It was an inappropriate picture
came up.
Yes, and
Wow.
we're like, Shadow, you have to
We made the
completely
mistake
delete it.
of letting a complete stranger join us.
Oh.
That won't be happening again.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, you know what?
Trying to be nice. I mean, that's how I met Brian. He just came out of nowhere. I'm like, you know what? Come on in. Never even thought twice. But 2 weeks in a row of that sort of inappropriate behavior.
2 weeks?
Yes, 2 weeks in a row.
Same guy?
No, the first time was a lady.
I missed
I
that
assume
one.
it was a lady.
Here's the whole point is, you have to make sure that someone has to be subscribed to you for at least 2 days for number one, and then but no, but no, we still got it completely off the track. Ignoring that one part is we still were all off the talk about body armor. We kept going off on other tangents.
What kind of question is that?
That's an L question.
Why is that not even on the screen?
I just
And there's 14 people on stream. Wow.
L, go ahead and get on Star Trek, and you go tell us.
Well, I did make some painting progress tonight. I almost finished a couple of minis. I will manage to get like 50 minis done this month. This one though, this Vampirella that Brian printed up for me.
Oh, that's pretty big.
This one is the one I'm the most like worried about doing right. I really want to, I've done large areas of flesh tones before, but I want to make sure I get it right. I've been looking at the magazine covers, and there's a lot of white in the way they do it. But then there's also covers where it's an actual real person, and I don't want it too dark. I don't want it too pale. And with bigger pieces like that, people can see it from farther away, so it's really got to look good, even though it'll never be used in a game.
Yes, it will. It's just going to be your giant vampiric, whatever. Giant.
Yeah, I actually have a lot of fun with larger scaled models, just to learn other techniques, and it's easier, and I don't have to use my glasses as much. And I've done a few like 65 and up millimeter miniatures and models and stuff like that, and there's something to be said about being able to have pieces that are more display than just miniatures that are just going to go in a case and not see the light of day for years sometimes.
I mean, I was looking at the Parabellum ones with like the Tontor. I was like,
okay,
that was the one that what was his name? Angry Nerd or whatever.
Holy Diver.
Yeah, Holy Diver. Well, the one that he was talking about, he said the game's pretty good. Man, I was looking at that, and they're 38 millimeter instead of 28 millimeter, size. And looking at it's like 6 inches tall or something. I said, well, that looks like it'd actually be fun to paint. That's the other part too, is talking about war games that you were at the beginning. No offense, I don't want to paint 30 of the same looking guys. I just don't. I know.
I 5 or 6 is about my limit. With Shadows of Brimstone, I get a lot of that. Now, if it's a different pose, I could maybe get a little more into it. But even then, sometimes I'm like, I can get bored real quick.
Well,
I've got so many pieces on my table that I haven't touched in years, just because I got bored with them, and I'm like, I'll get to them eventually.
You just assemble them, you go over if need be. Is when Brian's supposed to be cleaning my airbrush out. That's the only thing I asked him, and I said, if he's like, well, I'll do this. I said, Brian, if anything, if I have a bad needle, just replace it. That's all I'm asking. I said, just have fun with it, with whatever I gave you, and I'll get it back in a few months. And and, I probably gave him a good 60 paints to play with, paint bottles. So
that's a good chunk.
Oh yeah. Well, a lot of them are for airbrushes anyway. So, but yeah, I mean, hopefully he'll make good use of them and he'll enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, I just like kind of set pieces that look like they're okay. This is cool. What can I do with it? And then if they're just like little things, I don't care if they're painted. To be fair, it's the big models that are fun to look at when you paint them. I don't care about the little figures. I just don't. I'm like, you know what? Put a base coat on them. If you want to do a couple of things, is put a little bit of the flock at the bottom, and then
that's one of my favorite things is trying to make the base, stand out somewhat. Have it sort of help tell the story.
And
see if I can pull up an example.
And then just maybe paint the eyes. Just something real fast, and I don't really care and how good of a quality it is. And it's like, okay, I'm looking over. There are like 70 of them out there. Unless I want swarms, and to be fair, as I get older, I'm quite happy with what they call the skinny minis, or the stuff that Mage's Musings does with his Order the Stick mini.
The standees,
yeah. I'm like standees are great for that, and then the other part that comes down to it is the where he just does the he just cuts them out and then glues them at the bottom, and then they just move across. As long as you don't breathe on them, they should be okay. Well, no, because you know how it is with paper. You just go. They're like, and don't get me wrong. If you don't paint with minis, I'll play with them. Absolutely, that's the great thing with Brian.
Really, Arn. I kind of get where you're going with that, but could you elaborate a little with the same pose? I see that with like fantasy battles, or historicals where people did march and do the whole thing. I was at Jackie's JROTC. There was a Christmas parade, and seeing all the kids, doing the march and all that. There is something to that, but after a certain point, even historically, that was no longer a thing except on the parade grounds. Once the bullets start shooting, there's none of that. But in the fantasy and the historicals, there was a lot of that. People standing at attention, so to speak.
Well, I mean, like Elle mentions with pikemen, or if you look at the old, I want a colonial.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Waterloo, stuff like that. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, where you had to, everybody, from firing to reloading, there were definite specific poses that the men would all be in because they're doing the exact same thing, like reloading or aiming and firing. I get that. I just, if I'm going to do any sort of wargaming, it's definitely going to be in a much smaller scale, unless skirmish. And skirmishes, I have a hard time getting into the skirmish game where it's like 5 or 6 guys trying to think why is this battle important? Is this like one of the crucial battles in the war that make the difference, or is
because
it
it's
just
not crucial for the skirmish? The skirmish is meant to. Well, that's where you get your role playing aspect. That's kind of like, oh, I do this. But yeah, I know. I will mention when I was a kid, I used to get the fairly detailed plastic. I mean, I know that there were soft plastic, but the ones that were
Airfix?
They were the ones.
The little boxes are about like this big.
Yeah,
you get a bunch of them. Yeah, I used to do all that.
You get 50 of them.
Good point.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the nerds did. But
what? Nothing. And if my hair sticks, I'm going to kick your ass.
That's right.
Okay.
You're missing his.
I know the glue is still wet on the inside.
His eye is off.
What are you doing? I know it's way off.
There you go. It's no longer way off. But you still.
But yeah, I mean,
almost not at all.
That's right.
What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Take this shit off, man.
This.
You didn't glue up like yet. Okay.
But yeah, and each of them had a different pose, if I remember correctly. like there'd be one guy with a grenade and he'd be holding it behind his head, he's about ready to throw it. And yeah, I like skirmish games. I do. I like skirmish because you can do realistic tactics without it getting huge.
Yeah, I got spoiled with Epic Space Marines where I would have 30 to 50 tanks on the battlefield, and just looking at it like a movie. When someone dropped a template down and then bloosh, 4 tanks just are gone off the battlefield, and they're just the carnage and just the mass number of casualties. Because they were stands of 5 little 6 mil soldiers. Boom, 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 boom. 15 guys just bit the dust there, or some of my favorites were my my horsemen. What were they called? Rough Riders for Imperial Guard. You'd have a stand with 2 horsemen and a freaking lance, which is the most ridiculous, thing to go on to that kind of a battlefield with. But I used them in a very specific way that just irritated all of my opponents. Just using them to tie up their big bad, hand-to-hand combat guys, or even some of their smaller vehicles. Now they're surrounded by horses. I know they're all going to die, but they're tying them up so that I can shoot at these things. And then next turn, when all my dudes are dead and those vehicles or those other infantry used up all their actions, now I just, here comes the artillery.
I liked it, but I liked using the Titans out there and then having everything else. So, but even then, I probably
that made the whole game,
I like the fact that they had the little the buildings and stuff like that, and
I still have it all. When I get to Texas, you, me, and Brian, and we'll have to find one more person, and we'll have big old freaking just ping pong table sized battlefields. I've got some pictures I should show of me and my buddies. I took a ping pong table and glued a grass mat to it because I was never going to play ping pong. And we played every Saturday out in the garage port because I couldn't fit it in the house. So I would put it in the garage, and move the car and just lay it out in the garage port. We play out, fresh air, and people would walk by. What the hell are you guys doing? Playing Space Marines.
Well, see, that's one of the things I did not like about the regular 40K, because it works fine, when the 28 millimeter, they work fine for skirmishes, but otherwise you just lose all tactics for it. And I'm like, look,
having like Brian was saying, having tanks within an inch of each other, and all crunched up together because of the terrain. Yeah, I get it, but that. A good 40K game should only have like 1 or 2, maybe 4 vehicles on the board, sense.
It should, but let's be honest, that's not because a lot of the times they have the tournament stuff.
DM James was talking about his army of nothing but chimeras. It was like, yeah, but if somebody comes in with some really, well defended anti-tank vehicle, just boom, 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 your army's just.
Well, the problem that I have with
it
is that they're all stacked together, or they all hide it just doesn't feel realistic. I'm like, look, most of the times in more, especially more modern warfare, soldiers are spread out a lot more. They're, if you can get to, if you really want to, 4 squads as a platoon, you're not generally getting a lot of company size stuff. It just doesn't. It's like, oh, okay. But again, part of it just comes down to is when you're playing those smaller skirmish games, then you can put the role-playing element in there. You start naming your characters, and that's
why I liked Necromunda. That was a good game for that because it was more geared toward, more personality. You knew that if your gang survived, those survivors were going to get a little bit better between games. It wasn't really role playing per se, but we still did it. Oh no, Jake got hit. That kind of thing. And getting better equipment through play. And that was one of my all-time favorite games. I had so much fun with that game. I once went with a buddy of mine to Vegas. We he was going to do a little gambling, but we just wanted to be able to go and set up a table and just play as many games as Necromunda as we could without, girlfriends and family, going, what are you guys doing? You're still playing the same dumb game? It's like, no, we're on game 5, today. Tomorrow we're going to do it again. And I don't gamble, but he made some money, and it was also I had just moved back into town, and I hadn't seen my buddy in like I want to say like 4 years. It was like, dude, I was just getting ready to go to Vegas. You want to go? I'm like, hell yeah. And that's all we did. And unfortunately for him, I think I won every game over like a 4-day period. He won like 1 or 2 games out of like 20. And we kept changing gangs and, different, setups and all that. And
well, I know that they have, I know they have one called, they have the Necromunda, but they have the other one, which is what called
Mordheim?
No, it's what Kill Team. I think it's where they do something.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a crap ton of Kill Team still in the box. Never going to play it.
Why use maze at such tiny scale? Because you're doing battles. You're not doing strategic stuff.
It's more okay. It's kind of in the title of the epicness, where you want to see an epic battle with giant robots and demons and units of tanks. One of the units was like 10 land raiders, and the land raiders like this big. As opposed to paying $50, or even back then it was like $35 for one 28 mil scale tank, you could get 25 little plastic of the same tank for like $10 or $25, but it came with a bunch of other stuff.
L is not
the feel of watching skyscrapers come down, people jumping on top of buildings and around buildings and aircraft. It was a big epic battle, as opposed to 10 dudes on 10 dudes trying to fight over this little like like one square block of a city, and instead you're taking out the entire city is going to be rubble when you're done, but someone will plant their flag in that rubble and be the winner.
But yeah, I mean, but no, I agree with you. So even then you're like, oh, okay. And you could spread them out. So they actually looked kind of like a realistic battle. That was part of what I liked about it. It's like,
I mean, there's nothing like having, like a company of hover bikes or hover tanks just come screaming in and just blast stuff. And, it's a totally different feel than a lot of other war games, because everything is fast. Really fast.
Well, at the time, I don't know. I haven't played Drop Zone. The miniatures look pretty cool.
Drop Zone Commander, I love the look of that game, but it was pretty pricey.
All of them are pricey at this point, is unfortunately. But a lot of it is I said okay, but that's what I wanted. It's like, look, I want to play big battles. It's the same thing. Some things I think are better played on a computer in certain cases because they get so big. If you want realistic sizes, I remember playing Combat Mission, and I'd always do that, and I'd blow up the guys so they look like real size. But boy, when you shrunk them down to like realistic size, everything looks like a dot on the map. So yeah, that's why I said I don't mind having. Everyone wanted this 1-to-1. I said, I don't need 1-to-1. If you want to count it as, hey, we'll do a skirmish game at 28 millimeter, guess what? Every figure counts as 5 in reality. Let's do it that way. And that's why I kind of like
I think that's how James L. does a lot of his basing strategies, how many miniatures he puts on a base so that he can get more bang for his buck. Because up here, is different than what's down there on the actual battlefield.
And the other part that I didn't like, that I liked in the earlier stuff, was that they had more of the abstracted rules for terrain. It's like, oh, if you're within an inch of trees, that counts as this. Yeah, it makes sense. You know your character's going to be hiding behind things and stuff like
Right.
that.
You're not just exactly where they are, like in a 28 millimeter game. It's like you're not touching the building, so yeah, shut up. That's what he was trying to do. Give me a break here.
It was true line of sight, and that's all we're going to do. And when it becomes more of the how do I put it? When you try and play more of the game than trying to actually reflect what it would be like out there, I think that's why I have something.
You're gonna lose. You're gonna lose a lot of the fun, to be honest.
Well, for me,
that's why we play war games as opposed to playing chess.
Yeah. Well, the other one is, and I thought it was cool. I've never bought it. Was the what is it? Is it Dead Zone by Mantic?
Yeah.
I haven't played it. It looked cool. With the three, that's one I wouldn't mind because you get the layers in there. Okay, they go based off of the squares.
What's shogi? Al, I've never heard of that.
They are not war games, Al. I'm sorry. I'm going to get snobbish here. Having grown up with using chits and everything else, they're not war games. They don't represent anything like war. They're about as realistic as King of Tokyo is. So it doesn't mean that they aren't fun. Talking about that old stuff, I know we've talked about Avalon Hill. If you look at the GMT games, man, as a kid, that's what I would just love. But I look at them now, I'm going, 4 hours? Who the hell has 4 hours to play one of these games?
Or Twilight Imperium? Do you have an afternoon, an entire weekend to play this game with 7 other people, and by the end of the evening, you're going to hate half of them? No, thanks.
No, actually, I would love to play Twilight Imperium. I love that kind of stuff.
I definitely want to play it at least once to be able to say, not just that I played it, but that I can, know what the hell I'm talking about,
But you have to play it like 3 or 4 times before you even really understand the rules for just about any game. I still want to play. I was going to try getting with Brian, but just haven't worked out a time with him. Because I want to try the Star Wars Rebellion, where one side plays the Imperium and the Imperials, the other side plays the Rebels. I said that to me looks like a lot of fun, but man, trying to get someone to allocate 4 hours of their time is hard. Plus, we all want to do other stuff.
Now, what's Ched? Okay, I'm just fucking with you, Al. Ched.
I still remember as a kid, someone had the Lord of the Rings chess set, and of course at the time, we're talking the 80s, it was, a few $100s. I'm afraid to see what it would be now.
Franklin Mint. I want to say I had it, and then I sold it on eBay because I don't know why.
No, it was the one I saw was made out of all wood.
Oh no, I was thinking the Franklin Mint one. I also had I had a couple of different Franklin Mint sets that I did pay every month, get a new piece kind of thing.
What a pain to have to wait 32 months to play a game. I mean, come on.
I did it. I don't know why. Well, I know why, because I had a crap ton of money and I wasn't, married, didn't have, those kinds of expenses and things. And I was just, that's how my collection grew, because I was just going on eBay and other places like that, just stocking up, building up. And this year I'm going to go back and fill in a bunch of gaps in my comic book collection, as well as pick up things that I never got the chance to read, to, help inspire me for other kinds of games. Brian wanted to play Top Secret the other day. I think he's still mad at me about that.
I liked what I read for Top Secret. I don't know if I bought first or second edition, but I liked the fact of where you had the advantages and disadvantages.
That was second edition, Special Investigation, or SI, and that's the version I prefer. And I haven't. I'm going to go through first, second, and third edition in my reviews. Which reminds me, tomorrow I'm doing a review of the adventure module Rapid Strike, which is a team of agents gets dropped off on this little island, and they have to go and infiltrate and rescue a doctor who's created a new super drug that's highly addicting, but when you take it, it enhances your senses to like almost superhuman levels, like double your visual range and things like that, or it makes you start raving bonkers, and you need to go there and nab the recipe, rescue the professor, and bring him back to the agency in a 4-hour tournament game style play limit.
And you have to do it the old James Bond, and you have to give her, like a, some sexual pun name in there. So
there is the bad guy is a woman, a French woman who's out to corrupt Western civilization with this drug, and she tricked the scientist into thinking she's in love with him, and blah blah blah. This old geezer who came across this formula, and it looks like it would have been a fun adventure. If you went to a convention, you get into a top secret game. Okay, 4 hours. You got to get in there, rescue the professor, or whatever, the scientist, destroy the recipe, come back with as much evidence and what have you, and meet the boat or the helicopter, and win the game, so to speak. It was a lot of fun, and SI was a far superior game than the original version, with, like you were saying, the advantages and disadvantages. I always bought Wealth. It's like,
see, you bought Wealth. I always went for like either complete plainness, where they'd forget about what you look like. Mm-hmm. With it, then you had to pick the disadvantage. You either got 6 points or you got 1-on-1. And what was the other one that was the one that was worth the most was with the eidetic memory, where you memorize everything you saw.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Brian showed us in Bo's game with quite a lot of amusement how that ability is kind of a game breaker. Like, I don't remember, but my character does.
But you know what? As DM, I kind of like that one. Now I don't have to worry about if the players will remember everything.
Yeah,
like,
especially if you haven't played in a week or 4, Bo. Just fucking with you, man.
I don't know. Is Bo even alive? I mean,
he is. Yeah, I talked to him this morning. Okay. He's just been hammered by work. We are supposed to play tomorrow night. So I hope to see you and Brian and Kevin and Mark, which I haven't seen Mark in forever. It's like before Christmas since I last saw him. But my point was I was reading the mini module that came with the DM screen for Top Secret, and Brian hit me up. It's like, because the mission in the little mini module, it's a 6-page mini module inside you get with the DM screen for Top Secret, is you have to rescue the president from Canadian terrorists in a haunted house. 6 pages, okay, super quick. And I'm like, well, you got a copy of the book? He's like, I don't need the book. Like, do you know how to make a character? He's like, no, I just role play it. I know it's Top Secret. You got to have a character sheet. So
you know what? I'm a little bit different on that. It's like, if you're really worried about it, and I know you don't do this, this was.
You got to have some basis,
Well, you know what? If you hand out the character sheets,
I could have done that. But every pre-gen that I've come across is like, they're not bad, but there's like one character that everybody's going to want to run, out of the list of pre-gens, and then the rest are like very, very specific one-trick kind of ponies. They're good for this one thing and they'll shine, but they're not the star of the episode. And
no, that's one of the things I do like about the so I'm pulling this out, which, to be fair, these are great for this, but the alien one.
Oh yeah.
And it gives you, gives you the stats in the back, it gives you the front, which gives you kind of your history and your background. These are great. I mean,
the playtest characters, or not the playtest, but the pre-gen characters for Top Secret, you'd get all 6 of them on one of those sheets, and there's very little info. You have to kind of decipher. Oh, I've got this skill. Oh, I guess I'm the that guy, or I'm the I'm the muscle, or I'm the hand-to-hand guy, and I find that with a game like that, everybody wants to make up their own character that's very different than just the one-trick pony. They might have like a sort of a theme, but they're not like a stereotypical, oh, you're the driver or you're the demolition expert. Yeah, if I was going to buy that, I would buy the original.
I don't know. I've been looking through it. I know DM James says
you haven't even broke the seal on the plastic.
Yeah, break the seal. You know what? I'm a little bit different.
You haven't yet. It looks like you haven't.
No, I have not. I have the PDFs. When you buy it, you get the PDFs, but
Gotcha.
This finally came in 6 weeks after I had paid for it in the Black Friday sale for them. But and some of it is just because it's PDF. They don't always want to read it that way. But there you got your cards.
I'm actually going to have to read a couple of the original Top Secret modules through PDF, because I've got sealed modules for the next 2 that have been sealed since the 80s, and I'm not breaking the seal. Not if I can get the PDF. Not if I get the PDF for free, off the high seas or whatever you want. Not even the high seas; it's just right there, But sealed, it's worth a crap ton of money, and knowing that I'm never going to run the adventure, might as well just keep it sealed for somebody who's willing to pay $50 for it. When I'm done.
Well, that's part of the advantage of the PDFs. It's like I read these for enjoyment for myself, but if I'm traveling around and I have to go look stuff up, it's on the iPad or whatever. But I'll have to read all the stuff in here because it looks like it's kind of a mixture. But you got to admit, you got all the weapons in here. But yeah, it's heavy. I mean, this is really heavy for what you get. I'm really surprised, but you get and Free League's box sets are fantastic. So for your value for that, let's see, is this a character? No, this is the. Okay, so this is the reports. I'll have to go read through this. The old, which I still love, but the you got your maps and different sides. Yeah, I mean they're trying to find out because they usually have character sheets in here somewhere, so I'm trying to find them.
I could see that being a fun game. I had this game called Snapshot for Traveler. It was like a you remember like an introductory version of Traveler back in the late 70s, early 80s. And one of the scenarios was, an alien freaking life form has escaped on your 100-ton or 200-ton scout ship or merchant ship, and you need to track it down and kill it. I also have the Task Force game called Intruder. You remember that one?
No, actually,
it was one of those envelope games where it's just a thin plastic envelope with, like a 10-page rule book and some counters. You could pick up a game for, $5 and get some fun out of it back in the day when all those games like Car Wars and Ogre first came out.
No, I mean, you look at this, man, these are, even though I know these are softback, these are heavy. These are dense. That's 150 pages, and this is this is, but no, whatever you get for Free League, if it comes in a box set, you always feel like you get your money's worth. This reminds me of the old, but yeah, I remember Top Secret when I bought it. Never played it. Always wanted to, and I'd create characters, which
it's a tough game. I mean, back then it was it was easier to run because James Bond movies and things like that were more in the the zeitgeist. We all knew James Bond, and probably had seen the most recent James Bond in the theater. It was a lot more of more popular genre. I know Tom Cruise has done the Mission Impossible, and there've been a couple of James Bond movies over the past couple of years, but it's gotten more gritty and brutal as opposed to suave and classy like it used to be. More of a gentleman's game. Now it's just mostly just gangsters and things like that, and
I don't know.
It's lost some of its flair without
Well, we all knew that James Bond was completely ridiculous and silly.
Certainly, as was the Man from U.N.C.L.E., The Prisoner, Get Smart was even the Avengers, all that, and trying to go back and run a game set in the 60s to the 80s, I want to say, with that original version of Top Secret would be a really hard thing. You'd have to do so much research into the actual world of espionage.
No, you don't make it realistic. You make it James Bond-esque, in 1950s, here's what you do, Shadow, to prepare
that
for
helm, yeah.
Well, what you do is you sit down for like
Austin Powers. Austin Powers would be like you'd have to kind of sell it to players these days as especially younger players as an Austin Powers kind of thing, because that way they would be able to kind of grasp the world of the spy from that era, because it was always it was making fun of James Bond and all the other classics that came before it, and that was like almost the end of the spy movie era in a way. It was like the last nod to that kind of Dr. Evil and wait, you're not going to shoot him? No, I'm going to tie them up and leave them in an elaborate trap and assume it all goes to plan. That kind of.
Here's what you do: is you sit your players down and say, "Okay, guys, we're going to spend 2 weekends just watching James Bond films."
That's not a bad idea, actually.
No, you do that. You also make sure you get our man Flint, or a man like Flint, whichever one that was, with James Coburn, which was the American version for that. And the players will all get into it. I mean, come on, you only have to do some of the Roger Moore stuff up into the like you said, and it's like, all right, get up in the 1970s.
Yeah, Roger Moore was my least favorite, believe it or not.
No, I don't doubt it, but I meant, you gotta go with Moonraker and a couple of the other ones out there that are just fun.
I just couldn't buy. I could not believe that women were falling for his routine.
You know what? I liked Roger Moore better in The Saint.
Than who?
In The Saint.
In The Saint? Oh, yeah.
The old black and white.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, the whole point is you just get, what do you have to do? Is like, okay, guys, I want you to sit down and watch Dr. No. And a man with what's a couple of other ones in there? Probably Moonraker, and that's probably enough for what you need. I mean, you can always go for a few more, but it's like, okay, you get that feel. And then
Live and Let Die, Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
Thunderball.
Much. Yeah,
I would go with them all. It's like, okay, we're gonna watch every freaking James Bond movie, and if there's time, maybe go into. I really waste up. Yeah, I did.
Well, what was the other one that I enjoyed? I mean, to be fair, I did like the newer ones for the, when they had Casino Royale and.
Yeah. You know what? He was actually really good. I also like. My favorite Bond is actually Pierce Brosnan.
Yes.
But I did actually, I watched the one with Timothy Dalton, and I'm like, this is really good, but this isn't Bond.
That was. I mean, I probably prefer a little bit different, but did you ever watch Hot Fuzz?
No, I didn't.
You need to watch Hot Fuzz just because they have Timothy Dalton in there, and he does such a good job, and it's hilarious. But the whole idea,
he was a really good actor.
Yes, but I don't want to give away the whole thing because it's pretty. it's
Corny.
ridiculous, but basically this guy he's too good of a cop, and he makes all the other cops look bad. So they send him over to an area that has almost no crime, and everyone keeps dying, and he thinks it's for one reason. He finds out it's another. But Timothy Dalton is one of the guys, in this small village in the middle of nowhere. It's to be fair,
he was perfect in his absolute art. Is it? He was also really good in Flash Gordon. He was perfect.
Yeah, I liked him in Flash Gordon. You know what? I did not like him as James Bond, oddly enough. But everything else I've seen him in, I liked him in Penny Dreadful.
No, because he was actually too American.
I liked him. Yeah, I liked him in Penny Dreadful. Well, some of the reasons that you watch James Bond.
Was he in that?
In Penny Dreadful? Oh yeah.
I saw all of those, and I don't remember him in it.
Oh no, he was like the father figure to everyone in there. In Penny Dreadful.
It's been a while since I watched it.
I didn't mind him in Doom Patrol. Don't let Jack watch that. But I like Timothy Dalton for the whole thing.
If I ran a top secret game, I'd actually probably want to run it now, like in the year, like start 2020,
sure.
and do with all the conspiracy crap and just play into all the Alex Jones stuff. And,
wait a minute. This is what you have to do: is you have to have each of the players play one of the former James Bond, and so they either have to do Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, Pierce Brosnan,
Connery.
Yeah, do the accent or whatever when they're in there.
James L could do like probably half of them,
Oh yeah, well, he can do.
Sean Connery is spot on.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's what we just need to do that and just. But yeah, I mean that's part of the fun of those games, and I think sometimes this is a problem that I have with sci-fi. I do love sci-fi. I love the whole thing for it, but sometimes our technology has gotten up to the point that you begin to wonder how in the world can you do anything.
Yeah, you know what? We were kind of talking about that last week. Our technology now, whether most people know it or not, is actually better than most sci-fi movies, except for certain things.
You mentioned that. I think generally, how do I want to put it? Our interconnectivity, because I didn't really see the internet at the time, and our communications, are much better. As far as weapons and flying cars and everything else.
Oh, no, none of that. But a lot of the other things, we had that conversation about flashlights. When the writers of these games do the, the equipment lists and the functionality of these things, they don't have a clue what's out there, and they have no idea what it costs. And they give you these arbitrary limitations and expenses that make no sense compared to like right now.
I don't have as many problems with the cost. Now, to be fair, when I was looking most of the stuff for near future was Shadowrun. Traveler has some of the things, but sometimes, like I said, this abstraction works just fine with about it.
Right, but I mean, if I can go into a Walmart and buy a better version of the equipment that's listed in the book, the game book, when it comes to various, basic functions, and I'm paying more in credits, and it does less than it does now in the year 2024.
Can you give me a perfect example of that? Because I can't think of any for the most part.
Flashlights.
Oh,
I can buy a flashlight right now for $15 that will light up like a spotlight my neighboring church, which is more than 500 yards away, and I could light it up like daylight.
But you know what? I never had that problem because
if I go into a dungeon or a space Hulk and I've got this flashlight that only illuminates the 10 feet in front of me.
Well, that's a whole different thing. I mean, to me,
I've seen that multiple times. Or what comes in a first aid kit. It's like a one use and it's done. Like hell, a laser pointer for $1. exactly. Like El was saying here, I can go in, sometimes into, if I want to go a step up, go into my local hardware store, the equipment, and if I buy a set of bolt cutters, there is no chance they're going to break.
Oh, what? I don't know what games you're playing. I never had that problem.
I have had so many instances where if you roll a 1 on your skill check, you broke the tool.
Oh, see, I'm not. No, what I normally
Things
do.
like that. I'm just like, you're kidding me, right? This thing is made out of freaking, top notch. It's got a lifetime warranty. They don't have lifetime warranties in freaking role playing games. When you go to the hardware store and you buy a hammer, and I rolled a 1 on my hammer, throw or something, and now the weapon's destroyed. I'm like, do you know what it would take to destroy that? I mean, brand new out of the box or off the shelf.
I've never had that issue, to be fair. I guess it may just depend on how the DM wants to do it. And, when you start doing distances, I mean, I can do stuff with my flashlights. And I have like a 2,000 lumen flashlight.
12 pounds for bolt cutters. Have you lifted a pair of bolt cutters? I mean, you can get a small set that will still work. I mean, you're going to have to, work it a little harder and preferably be stronger, or you can get a nice set and it's still only like 5 pounds, right?
I know. I'm still looking at this stuff and I'm going, I haven't found as much problem because I really go like, how much of bulk? Usually because I don't try tracking weight as much. I'm like, does this seem reasonable? That's what it really comes down to.
And in the future, the stuff would be lighter and stronger at the same time. That's part of wanting to play a future game, is that all the equipment is better. It's lighter. It probably shrinks down, because it's, it screws in and
Shadow. You've used modern stuff. That's a lie that it's better and stronger.
No. I mean, in the future, though.
I'm talking. We're living in the future. Go look at this stuff from the 1980s, and you're like, oh wait, this could actually. No, I mean,
and like El said right here, I'm looking right now at one of those flashlights. There are flashlights that can start a fire.
Oh, I'll be honest, Shadow, is when it comes to this stuff, I never had any problems with it because I probably just ignored those rules and said, okay, what seems reasonable.
Me too, or I would. I would be like, I want you to have cool stuff, okay? But I've been in so many games where it's the opposite. They want, no matter what genre it is, they want you poor, destitute, and having to come up with stuff and have minimal chances of success, and any roll of failure could spell your doom. What's up from the hill? Hey, Chris, how you doing? That was a great show the other day, buddy.
I don't have that problem with it because normally I'm going, okay, what do you have? And it's like, all right. I don't know. Even with Star Frontiers, I never felt like that. Maybe it's just because I'm not a stickler for the rules. What can you see? If it's too far away, I'm like, okay, you see X. You may not get the full details because now you have to walk towards it. But, it's just like even in daylight, if something runs off of your side vision, you're like, what was that?
Certainly. But like, like exploring a space Hulk. Okay. I've got a flashlight right now. I could literally shine it down a sewer tunnel and see 200 to 300 yards. It might as well be lit up.
I'll be honest. I've tried using those, and all the flashlights I find don't work as well as what you're saying. Now, it depends on how much we're talking about illumination. I'll tell you what works really well from personal experience is a signal mirror. Holy crap, a signal mirror outperforms just about any flashlight I've ever seen.
Well, for lighting up a hallway or for just doing what a signal mirror is supposed to do?
So for my job, I have to go look down conduits. And I've used my flashlight, and I can usually get like flashes of eyes and some other stuff if I can look down at the other edge. But when I use the signal mirror with the natural sunlight, man, you can see much better than just about any flashlight I've found.
Agreed, Al. The fact that you can get a laser pointer at the dollar store for $1, okay, slap that on, a crappy rifle, and you know what? it's giving you more than a +1 to hit.
Well, usually,
if you've got a decent, 4-power scope on it.
Well, how far are you trying to send it out to?
100 yards, 200 yards.
Man, unless it's dark, I can't see that. I have some of those even for my sighting lasers that don't go out that far when I can see it. And that's what I look a lot of times. Well, what are we talking about for the type of light? But yeah, it's
it was a lot of fun there, Chris.
But no, I don't think
it for me too.
But no, that's saying it's plus. Look, the only time that you really need it is when it's really close to anyway. It's just like whenever I'm dealing with scopes. Like, well, how long and how close are you using it? And most of the time, let's be honest, it's not the laser light that's really making the difference. Though it does it in certain cases. Most of the time, it's what's your heart rate. That's
right. I'm glad you agree. At least +3. Al says he has a 144 lumen button cell light that is better than old Army flashlights that took 2D batteries.
No.
A lot of people
they took 4, didn't they? Didn't they take 4
or a stream light, or a mag light that took, sometimes 6, but you could also, beat a cow to death with it. Don't recommend trying.
No.
You could.
I mean, look, the one I got for my son and I got one for myself, it does blue, green, red, ultraviolet, and then white, and then it has the strobe with it as well.
The one I've got is it looks like the old pistol grip big ass flashlight, right? It was $15. It's $15. It's got 5 different modes, including a strobe, and it's got a little stand on it so that you can set it up by your car as like a flare kind of thing, warn people to not hit your car because you're changing a tire in the middle of the night or something. And I kid you not, man, that thing will blind you. It was $15, and it charges with a basic, what the hell is it called nowadays? God, I can't remember. Brain.
You're talking about USB?
Yeah, thank you. USB. It's got a USB plug, and it'll charge in like an hour. It's fully ready to go for 4 to 6 hours, I want to say. And in a sci-fi game, I want something right. I want something that's tiny that does all the same crap, or it lasts forever on a charge, or the advancements we've made since the original Star Trek, episode, compared to what we're going to make from between now and 100 to a couple of 100 years from now. Right, exactly. Something like that is all you would need to light up the whole freaking building, in the future. I'm guessing, I want to be able to sort of extrapolate that it's going to be better than what we have now, not worse than what we had 20 years ago, which I find that might be part of the problem is the writers are going by memory as opposed to actual current day knowledge, going to a hardware store or a sporting goods store and saying, hey, I need this kind of tool. What's the best you got? Okay. It does this. It costs this. Okay. Well, now for my sci-fi game, we're talking 500 years in the future. It's going to be 1/10 the price and does 10 times better.
You know what though? It's going to break
or something like that. Some
sort
break
of formula. It's going to break when you sneeze on it. It's just like the old refrigerators that
that still run.
Oh, you mean that? Oh, we have one at work that's from the 1950s. It works just fine. In the meantime, all the modern refrigerators are
exactly. That is the one. The one argument you can make. Okay, everything in the future sucks because of planned obsolescence. You've got to get. It's not a year warranty; it's a week warranty. It lasts 3 weeks for $800 more.
Well, I mean. Yeah, well, it depends on what type of future you're talking about. Like I said, I never had any problems with it because I wasn't really trying to look down, like, how far can you see? It's like, well, you can see down, at least 60 or 70 feet.
Until the hallway bends or turns or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But, if you're doing like, exploring a space hulk, a big, massive ship that you came across, it's going to have hundreds of yard corridors with side passage left and right. You want to light that sucker up, as a matter of fact, you want a flashlight that hovers in position, and then when you call it, it'll come chase you down. You know what I mean?
Well,
so
you
you
know,
got your hands free.
well, that's the other part too, which is always interesting because, you know, do you really want to light up everything? Because, like I said, I've got one that's 2,000 lumens, and you can
I
turn it
know,
to
right,
see how
Arn?
bright
That's
it is.
crazy shit.
Um,
Oh, we got to call my fridge to see if we're out of milk.
Actually, you know what, Iron Man? I think a lot of that is so they can spy on you anyway. But it makes no sense. I just want the refrigerator not to break. I don't need anything else. My parents still have a refrigerator from like 30. It might be 40 years old now.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
do I
still runs.
really need to be able to look inside my fridge by standing outside the fridge and pushing a button, or can I just open the damn door?
Right?
I mean, have you seen those? It's crazy. It's like, just open the damn door.
Well, I'm just thinking it takes more effort for me to type in what I have in my refrigerator than for me to look at it. Yeah, but no, I mean,
And
you know, a
people
lot
would
of
watch it out. People would watch it in droves.
it was but you know, you've got that. I never had that problem. It was usually like, okay, what makes sense? Now, some of it, like you said, is I don't like whenever they start talking about, and I could tell someone just lifted something from Wikipedia. As they showed uranium bullets, and I went, and they'll catch on fire, and I went, no, you know, it's that's the problem that I have with some of them is they're, you know, they mention one thing or another. I say, okay, you need to be realistic on certain things. You know, that's part of it. I've, you know, there's a lot of stuff out there. I think that's, you know, miscommunicated. Just like for bullets, whenever I start hearing things, they talk like armor piercing bullets, but they do the same amount of damage. Not all games, but a lot of them do.
Right.
And I went, armor piercing bullets do less damage. If you really want to, if you want to kill someone, you get a hunting bullet. It's not going to go through armor as easily, but it's a hunting bullet. You know, we say the best, but that's not realistic. And it's not built by the lowest bidder. A lot of it's also it depends on how it's bid. It's lowest bid technically acceptable, which is the military defines the stuff. Yeah. Armor piercing explosive rounds. They're a nerd's nerd. It's,
Incendiary.
but no, that's what always gets me is when people say it's the lowest bidder. Not technically. It's lowest bidder, technically acceptable, or best value, which are two different things. And you know what I find interesting, because I like, you know, reading about all the shooting stuff. More innovation has happened in the last 20 years for guns than had happened in the previous 100, in my opinion. If you actually look at all of the stuff going for the chassis and everything else, we've done a lot more recently. Oh yeah, in the 50s you can do that. You got enough rounds for it. You know, the only problem with that is in how many 50 cal rounds can you carry on your character. But yeah,
Funny as they'll let me.
You know, I remember being a kid and I had 8 50 caliber shells on my fingers, and I remember people with 105s, they would use them as table legs. You know, the other part you know, when everyone's talking about their favorite, you know, plane, I'm like, give me an AC-130 any day. There's my favorite plane. Yep. No, exactly. I agree with you, a nerd's nerd. Strength build to carry more ammo. And actually, this is the part when we're talking about, you know, min-maxing characters for like D&D. They're like, well, why would a magic user need to have a high strength? I'm like, well, who do you load down with all the treasure? The guy who has to be in the front or the guy that's going to be in the back? Well, you know, El, there is something called for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So yeah, I enjoy a lot of that stuff. But I like to look at it, and I'll be honest, my 22 weighs more than my 308 because I've got a really heavy barrel on it. So yeah, you know, whether it's carbon fiber.
I don't know, my 308's freaking a monster. It's got a 32-inch barrel and the best optics money can buy. Bipod, the custom stock, the whole bit. I really went overboard on that one.
You know, and I know, you know,
I could have bought a car instead.
well, this is like 18 pounds, you know, so
Yeah, no, mine's. I don't know. I should put it on the scale to find out because it's crazy.
But yeah, and then if I put I did get a silencer for it at some point. But the big thing is the differences in scopes. The bullet rounds have not really made that much difference. That's what gets me about it. The bullets are not where a lot of stuff has been changed. And boy, if you can get the bipod extension, it's.
It's one of those pet peeves of mine when I find the game designers didn't do any actual research. Then I'm also inclined to believe they probably didn't do a lot of play testing. So I'm, going to be spending more money on other things this year than the next new shiny game that comes down the road.
I'm trying to think of what I'm going to buy. I mean, I back to Horus Cthulhu. I might get a couple more stuff from Warhammer, but I'm kind of getting up to the point where I've bought most of the things I want. Well, from the help it's a 22. I can carry all the ammo without any problems. The ammo is the least of my worries. And that's the other part too. I don't like when they talk about accuracy because your ammo determines your accuracy long range more than just about anything else. I mean, if you get a fairly decent gun, but yeah. So, well, you know what though? I'm old, and I will just hide in a. If I can shoot you from 400 yards, that gives me a lot better chance. Because most people aren't very good. They'll just do point and shoot, and I'll just hide. You lay down. Good luck. Just like when all the people talk about automatic weapons, I'm like, please fire full automatic, please. You're gonna miss me more often now. So, that's I was.
No, you end up doing more damage to everything but what you're shooting at with full auto most of the time. I mean, in urban situations these days, drive-bys and stupid crap like that. It's really more of just a weapon of chaos.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine for close combat, but boy, when you want to go out there, I just saw the military, and we'll see how this goes. Try and do the 608 or the 6.8 ammo. I hate telling you this. If you're fighting alone, it's not going to make a big difference. That's what I have a boy for. Yeah. Hey, I can dig trenches. That's what I've been doing for a certain point. I can dig a 4x4 hole in about 2 hours, 3 feet deep.
Hey, speaking of digging holes, have you ever seen that YouTuber, The Builder?
No, I have not.
It's this Vietnamese woman who digs these underground bunkers in record time with just like a giant spatula and yeah, it's a freaking amazing. I know it's highly
suspect. Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, someone's filming her as she draws out this thing and just chisels away. I think she's in Vietnam, and she just chisels away her, this underground apartment, all by her lonesome, over the course of a couple of days. A lot of not a lot of time lapse, but they cut out a lot of it. But it's just like amazing crap. This little 5 foot tall Vietnamese woman. She's got it's not even a shovel. It looks like a spatula with a really long handle, but the blade's only about that big. And then
so it's like a trowel almost. It's more of a trowel. No, yeah.
It's more like a putty knife, a really big putty knife.
Oh wow, okay.
With a really long handle, and she digs the chimney, the stairs. She even digs it's more like carving.
Sure.
Like a bed that even looks like a bed, and like a breakfast nook, and shelves and all this crazy shit. Once she made a bathtub in it,
we know a lot of
out of nothing. You know, I mean, literally nothing. Just
Now,
it just freaking blows my mind. You know, because I know it's she's getting help at the very least.
It
But
also depends on the
that's the
type of
time,
soil you're
dang.
going into. If you're in a silty soil with you can do that a lot faster. My stuff's heavy clay, man. You know, try to get
It
that stuff
kind
off
of
the
looks
shelf.
like clay, to be honest, because she'll then use the same dirt, add water to you know, not make mud bricks type of thing, but kind of like when she makes like a roof out of small saplings, and then she'll cover it with this mud, and then cover it with dirt, and it's just like,
Well, no,
we're
no.
not talking here tonight. Go check out the builder and tell me what you think, guys.
No, this is
freaking wild stuff.
No, the heavy clay is worse than modeling clay trying to dig through, and that's what we have.
I mean, she gets these straight edges, and it looks gorgeous. I mean,
Sure.
If I had to rough it, that would be the way to go. Or if you were on the lam or something, hiding from the one world government or some shit, that kind of, it's just crazy. I mean, if that woman was hireable, with her and her team, she could make bank just going into people's, farmland and going, oh, what you wanna, an emergency bunker or shelter or something? Okay, we'll come in and
So I had a girlfriend. We went over to her. She lived with her parents. We're sitting there, and she had a gazebo. Her parents built a gazebo. Mm-hmm. We're sitting there, and she presses a button, and the gazebo goes, and it's an elevator that went down into the ground. And
you've been looking at one of the top secret modules, haven't you?
No, I mean, this is
there's something just like that. What's up, Brian James?
I know I don't know what to tell you because I haven't looked at it. I really need to get into the rules. I've had the PDFs for a while, but no, it went down about 15 to 20 feet. They had literally blasted a cavern that opened to the outside so their horses could be stabled inside of the hill. And
wow.
And yeah, they had some money. They had horse stables. And then one time I was trying to kiss her, and she's like, "No, not here." Like, why? And this is in the early 2000s. Oh, my father has a camera set up, and he had high definition. Before everyone else was going high definition. Yeah, there's some money on there. Yeah, I'm kind of there.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
The way my knees are, I'm like, look, I'm not running. The only thing I'm worried about is the Mad Max style, ruffians. That's the only people I'm worried about. If it's going to be the military, I'm like, yeah, okay. That you burned down Waco. I don't have any illusions that you're going to stop with me. It's
true that.
That's what it comes on for that. It's like, I'm more worried about, the ruffians and crap like that. It's like, if you're coming to steal, or you're just, you're not organized, you're not well armed, you're not well trained. That's all that's all I'm concerned about. If you're bringing in a tank, yeah, okay, we're over. It's if you're bringing even an MRAP, it's over. I don't have any illusions for that.
Well, why did I? Arn, bugging out is all about where are you going. If you don't have a place to go, then you're better off where you're at.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that my neighbors do bug out if something like that happens, because then I'm going to go rifling through their cupboards, taking all their canned food, knowing they didn't take that with them. Because who wants to pack up your entire cupboard when you leave?
I'll tell you this much: as soon as COVID hit, the first thing I did was grab a bunch of spices because I said I'm not running out of pepper. That's the rest of the stuff you can get. But
congrats, Cal.
Oh,
yeah,
Cal.
You know what? I actually have to get some pepper on my grocery list. It's funny. We only use it for one thing around here. and we've had the same pepper since before COVID.
Oh no, I go through pepper so fast.
Like,
I mean, I go through pepper so quickly, along with my son. Because we put pepper on everything: steaks, potatoes, soups. I use that pretty vigorously, and just like I like kosher salt. Those are things that I would grab. It's like, okay, make sure you get. I know that you talked about all the stuff out there. I said, if I could build, I hate saying it, when my parents pass away, I'll build a nice house, but on my property. But yeah, I mean, once you're out there, it's like, okay, look, there's 400 yards between the house and the road. There's no reason that she should be on that property anyway, which is what I.
Yep.
So, and I know my neighbors, and they have a much better view on top of the hill, looking down on me, which is fine. As long as we all keep it in agriculture, we're all pretty cool. And he's just happy that that I'm not turning into a solar farm. So, I'm trying to keep. Solar farms are becoming really big out here, and no one likes them the way that they look. I mean, they're great if you're not going to live out there, but man, we're talking 10,000 acres of solar panels, 5,000 acres of solar panels, 2,000 acres of solar panels. It's nuts. It is absolutely insane on how much they're building. We've got 3 of them down there. It's a total of about 20,000 acres of solar panels. And yeah, don't get me wrong. I like solar panels if they're going to be on top of roofs or something that's hard.
Right.
But
we've got a bunch of them out here on the school grounds, the high schools and stuff, where they're just a huge array of 100 or so solar panels, just taking up what would have been a playground field or a sports field for the kids. And I'm like, am I supposed to believe the entire school is run on solar power? Because that's way more than the school would need.
So looking at it, I'd have to double check. I think it's, and the problem is what people think of solar panels. We were having discussions, and it's not that I'm against solar panels, and I've heard some good things, but I'd rather see what they called agrivoltage, which is that they elevate the solar panels probably about 10 or 15 feet off the ground, and then they put all of the farming, we can farm it underneath. Yeah. So, that's what's going on there. Now, Cal, I mean, I have farming. I'm just trying to plant trees so I can get fruits out there. And I don't want to deal with animals because I don't want to have to deal with them dying. I don't feel guilty if a tree dies. I do feel kind of guilty if an animal dies because I neglected it. I could act all big, bad, and tough, but hey, look, I don't like to see any animal die unless it's
I don't think any of us do.
I'm like, look, but yeah, so I'm trying to plant some other stuff, and really, what amazes me is even for stuff out here, which I need to do is, man, just planting, planter boxes and put it instead of putting flowers, put in basil and thyme and stuff like that. Yeah,
really, Brian, that was like the only thing that was left in our store where I live. Nobody wanted any of that. They didn't want the flour, the sugar, the rice. That was like the only aisle that looked like normal. I was blown away. I'm like, oh my God, I am surrounded by idiots. Okay, I'm gonna grab some flour, grab some rice, grab some beans. It was, you know what was the biggest shock during that time? Microwave burritos. Like the there was throughout the whole store there was no, limitations. The only limitation was on the microwave burritos. You could only buy 2.
Really? Well, see, for us, we were only allowed to buy 2
why?
meat.
I figured it out. Homeless people.
Oh.
That was all they were buying was microwave burritos because they would then take it over to the gas station, microwave it, and walk out.
Interesting. For here, I bought tons of pasta, which my son has slowly been going through. I'm gonna get that, and then I bought
last forever.
I bought about 30. I bought 30 pounds of beans just in case. and I need to make some pemmican. I'm not sure if my meat's still good from, it's like 4 years old now, but I need to make some pemmican again. I got the beef tallow, so it shouldn't be that hard. I just have to go get some of the other stuff and just dry it out. And I've got cherries still in the freezer. I need to use those.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm doing this year is getting another freezer. Yeah, see that where I live, it's kind of rural. I mean, there are farms and ranches within, spitting distance practically, or at least 22 range from where I live. Horses and cows. The cows are actually more like 5 miles away, but still. But when you go to the Walmarts and any other grocery store, nobody around us, I guess, knows how to cook from scratch. It's all the pot pies and things like that. The simple,
all the millennials,
like the frozen things. There are a lot of retirees out here too, which is kind of weird. You would think that they would be the people who would be like, yeah, okay, we're gonna bake, we're gonna, cook from scratch, that kind of thing. But no, although there was no powdered milk during the whole period.
Well, let's see.
And that's kind of a biggie,
I need to go buy some more pomegranates, but that'll take some time. I'm also going to plant the jujubes. My plan is before the winter storm hits.
We get more pomegranates than we know what to do with every year.
Oh, but pomegranates last a long time. If you store them right, that's a good 7 months that they can be stored.
Yeah.
The other thing is I saw where they were talking about how to store eggs, and if you put them in, I think it's in lime water, they'll last over a year.
You know what? Until the holidays show up, I had like 10 dozen eggs in my refrigerator. Christmas rolled around. My boy says, "You gonna make deviled eggs?" Sure. Next thing I know, I'm down to 2 dozen eggs.
Well, I mean and that's the other part too. Like, I don't know if it's allowed for you, but man, if you can get like 3 or 4 laying chickens, you'll get eggs. But like the way that they used to store them in the 1700s was that they would put the eggs, I believe, in lime water, and they'll last for like a year. But yeah, and that was one of the first things I did was teaching my son how to cook. Guess what? As soon as I taught my son how to cook, that saved me a lot of time because now he can make his own food. How in the world people don't even teach their kids how to make basic food? My son.
I know. The boy we're taking care of right now doesn't have any of those skills, and
I taught my son how to
make cereal and a sandwich and stuff like that. But yeah.
I mean, I taught my son how to cook eggs and stuff. Eggs. Cheese is pretty easy, but he learned how to cook when he was 6, and all I did was take the this is actually pretty good. It's the induction plates, because I like induction better than anything else, and I have stainless steel pots and pans, and I just said okay, and I put it on the floor so I didn't have to worry about him knocking it over, and boom. But yeah, I don't know. There's people are weird on some of the things that they take. I'm going to stock up on water because last time we had the water pipe breakout here.
Not just the young folks. I know a lot of adults that will not cook or cannot for whatever reason, and I am a huge fan of home cooking, even if it's simple things.
Ground beef is not that. It amazes me to say like, okay, fine, it'll cost me like 20. It might cost me $25 to make about 7 pounds of spaghetti sauce. But ground beef here is about $3.50 a pound.
It's 5 here.
It's 73.20. Well, I buy the 73 7. It's like 73.27. So it's got a lot of.
And it's 5.
So I buy. Yeah.
$5
Okay.
a pound.
So and then I'll buy about a pound of So I'll buy like 3 pounds of that. I'll buy a pound of Italian sausage, a pound of pepperoni. Pepperoni is the more expensive part. And then I'll buy a couple of cans of tomato and some tomato paste. So like I'll buy, and I just pour them in. Man, I'll be eating that thing for like 3 days worth.
I made lasagna, and I still have some. I'm going to actually have some when I'm done here talking to you, which is going to be just about any minute here. I'm going to finish painting up these bases and call it a night. But yeah, I mean, home cooking is the best. It was funny. I may have told the story, but Jackie, I forget when it was. It was Halloween. He and his friends went out to Olive Garden for Halloween instead of trick or treating. I'm like, okay, that's kind of grown up. That's cool. He brought back some spaghetti and meatballs that he ordered for dinner because he thought, oh, I'm going to get it done right this time. You know, the old man, he loves my spaghetti and meatballs, but he brought it home, and I'm like, it's like, you want some? And I'm like, sure, why not? And I'm like, oh my God, this is crap. He's like, I know, Dad, yours is better. And I'm like, and I'm not saying that Olive Garden is like anything special. They think they are, but it's crap. But I mean, they literally go out of their way to make the crappiest spaghetti I have ever eaten in my entire life. I'm like, and you paid how much for this? It's like $10-12. I'm like,
spaghetti too. It's $1. It's $1 to get a thing of spaghetti. For like 12 ounces or 8 pounds. There's that. My son will cook it up, and and then he'll put some of my shredded cheese on there. I'm like, okay, fine, and that's what he does. And then everyone's talking about eating healthy. It's like, it's not that hard. I buy my son with whole yogurt, nothing with the sugar and stuff. We buy some. We'll buy some fruit, which he likes strawberries. Well, strawberries are pretty good, and
freaking it's like $10 for not the small pack, but for the medium-ish, plastic carton of strawberries. It's like $10 here.
Yeah, well, I think for here is I get the frozen, and I think I get 5 pounds for maybe $18 or something. I'm like, oh, okay.
We never buy the frozen anymore. We just make our own frozen from fresh.
Well, because it's cheaper to get the frozen than it is the fresh.
Yeah, but the kids, I'm allergic to strawberries, but the boys here, they like fresh fruit, and I don't have a problem with that. But
no, I don't either. But but
the hell are you doing, man?
I mean, so there's 5 pounds of strawberries, and he likes them frozen, so he just throws them in there. Now I'd like to get some other stuff, but
it never ends, Chris. It never ever ends. I don't care how old they are; they're still your kids.
Well, they are, but sometimes it's like, okay, you got to kick the kid out a little bit. I told my son, as long as he's working 50 hours a week, he's welcome to stay with me and doesn't have to pay anything. I said, I want you to get as much, because I want him to become, which I think he'll be good at, is being an electrician. I'm like, you know what? Take all your time.
Yeah, it sounds like he's well on his way from what you've told me in the past.
Yeah. And I would just force, it's like, okay. I'm like, look, you just work your butt off, and I don't care. That's, if you're making money, save as much money as you can, then buy a house or something, and then you're set. Don't get in debt any more than you have to. Homegrown pizzas. Well, that's, a lot of this stuff is, if you can get it frozen, and many times I agree that it tastes better. I'd still like to get, I've been separated from his mother since he was 1. But I've traveled a lot of times, but he's an hour away. I'll get him this weekend. And he always tries to play us against each other, but the problem is we text each other. And so she's like, oh, he did this. It's like, I know what's going on. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then he he tries like, oh, it's so terrible, blah blah blah. I said, well, you think it's gonna be better with me? I'm gonna work you a
Sorry
little
to
butt
hear
off.
that, guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's always going to happen, unfortunately. The only thing you can do
Well,
is,
no, not always.
yeah. No, I don't mean always, but I mean, if there's a divorce, there's always going to
Yeah.
have the damage.
It's not like it was when we were younger. Nobody did that, and everybody, just,
I don't know.
figured out another way.
I grew up around the military. There were a lot of divorces.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah.
My personal thing is, the kids, they deserve, even if it's only the illusion of, a happy home. Once they're 18 and out, then, split up, then do those kinds of things. That way the kid, he's got his own things to worry about. Gesundheit, or whatever. He's out there living his own life, it doesn't have to worry and go through the negativity and the pain and the heartbreak and all that stuff. Yeah, I was out of my home when I was the first time was 16, and I was gone for a good long time, and then my folks started getting sick and they needed me back, so I moved back.
No, I mean that's good. Right now I know my father's getting up to the age where I'm kind of worried that he's not going to make it for a few more years. So I'm just counting down. As I know it sounds bad, but I'm like, okay, I might see my father 6 more times before he passes away. Because
I'm the same way with my dog. He's I know it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
But he's 12 or 13 years old, and I'm like, he's not going to make it to 15. He's a dog. And if he does, what's that going to be like for him? So hopefully he'll make it till Jackie goes off to college, and then I can just say, yeah, well, Chewy passed away, regardless of how it actually happens, but
and no,
all of my actual family is passed away decades ago. I have one family member left, and she's in her 90s, and I talk to her once a month ish, and otherwise it's just I'm Jackie's the last of my line, literally.
Well, I mean, I've got my father and my mother, to be fair, but my father's, his health is going down, so like, okay, I want my do this. My friend just found out his mother has Alzheimer's, which he suspected for a couple years.
That's the worst. That's how my grandmother went. She didn't know any of us for the last almost 10 years of her life. She didn't know any of us.
Well,
her husband had passed away years before, and it was awful. I can't even imagine, especially as gamers, that's got to be like, how I don't even think that can happen to people like us. How could we, wake up one morning and look and go, what is all this crap? What are all these boxes? And not go, oh yeah, I remember this and that. You know what I mean? I think that can't actually happen to gamers. Or if it did, it would be like something out of the Twilight Zone, time enough to last.
Well, the problem is that most of us
play the games, but you don't remember what the games are.
No, most of us are going to die of a heart attack at 53 or something. If we don't take care of ourselves. That's the big problem.
Another one of our friends is not doing well, and I was just, that news kind of hit me as hard as it always does, but it was a shock.
Well, I mean, Crafty Matt had a stroke, and then now he said that it was probably from that. But like I said, my friend's mother, she had cancer. She made it through that, but she's a few years older than my mother, which is fine because he's 10 years younger than I am. But he also, but they diagnosed his mother now with that, and she had 3 strokes recently, and his parents wouldn't even tell him. The only reason we found out she was in the hospital is we were in San Antonio and said, hey, we're just going to stop by and see, he said, hey, we're going to stop by and see my parents after the solar eclipse. And there she was, like, oh, well, we didn't want to worry you. You're like, really? But But yeah, I mean, with my father, he's normally my family lives in their 60s. My grandfather died at 42. Um,
Oh, wow.
and, my grandmother lived to 72, but she had diabetes and all sorts of stuff. So my father's, compared to the rest of the family, is actually doing pretty well. But, I'm going, okay,
Well,
I see him
sticks
twice.
around for a good long time, brother.
Well, I'm
My,
like,
my
what?
old man died on my between a couple of days before my 22nd birthday.
Oof. Yeah. I mean, that's early.
And he was only 44.
Oh, geez. And then, and my father, my grandfather died when my father was 9. So, and then there was a family of 5 that they had to support. I'm sorry, not family of 5. There were 4 children to support, for my grandmother. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff I think that goes into it. But I'm like, okay, if I see my father twice a year, I'm going to see him 6 to 10 more times, and that's why I like, here, son, you go stay with your grandparents for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jackie never met any of his on my side. I mean, he met my mom, but she passed away when he was a year and a half, and he has no memory of her. And if he did, it would have been of her in the hospital. So that's probably best.
Well, and my son, he was just, his grandfather is so his mother's father is 86, and they're supposed to be visiting sometime in the next few months. But he kind of remembers him. But by my understanding is he's basically been cut out of the will. That's kind of crap.
Yeah,
it's
that's kind of messed up.
Well, and it wasn't because of anything my son did. I think it's just her father remarried, and
wow, Cal, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, no, that's good. My aunt is 86, and I think she'll outlive my father, who's like 11 years younger than she is. So yeah, but you got to be realistic on certain things. It's just like, okay, and when you start thinking about it, because people are like, oh, I don't want to think about that. You need to start thinking of these things, because if you want to spend time with them, the last thing you want to do is say, I wish I'd spent more time with so and so. Yep. Well, you knew they were getting old. You knew that was going to happen. My son's maternal grandmother, she lived to 78, and boy, she was in bad health. Well, I mean, like she was overweight, smoked, all of the stuff and she still powered through a lot of stuff. But at one point, I went down to go see my son, and I was talking to his mother. And I was like, said, your mom there's something wrong. You need to send her to the hospital. She's like, she keeps fighting me. I'm like, your mother is going to die if you don't do something. And finally she got weak enough that his mother could do something. And but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. So yeah, I think that's going to be one of those things that's going to be out there that, we all talk about have people living to 91, but a lot of us don't live the healthiest lifestyles. We can all probably lose anywhere from 10 to 150 pounds each.
Yeah, I'm not going to. Yeah.
Well, I mean, hearing about the sheer number of people that are diabetic at our age, man.
Yeah, well, it's because of all the damn soda and coffee.
Oh,
I mean, unless you're drinking black coffee, and you're avoiding soda like the plague, I would be willing to bet that that's where a huge part of that comes from. I know when I quit drinking soda and coffee, everything for me got like better within a week. I was just like, holy crap.
Oh yeah. Well, it used to be, and I found this out, is it was only supposed to be like 6, or 6 Cokes were only supposed to be 6 ounces, in the old bottles.
Yep.
Then they went up to 8, and then 12, then 16.
I used to drink 4 liters of diet soda a day. Between 3 and 4, and probably 6-8 cups of coffee a day. And as soon as I quit, I mean, after the headaches, because all the caffeine, you will go through the headaches, It's jacked up though. I was looking for aspirin. I couldn't find aspirin for over a year.
Oh, wow.
And then when I went and found aspirin, every aspirin had caffeine in it.
Mm.
What the actual F? I'm trying to get rid of a caffeine headache from withdrawals by taking aspirin, and it's got caffeine in it, which will do what? Just prolong the misery, because I will never actually be able to get over the caffeine out of my system, because I keep putting it in my system from taking aspirin to get rid of the headache from trying to quit coffee. How insidious is that?
I don't know. Well, and I haven't looked. Well, see, I'm allergic to aspirin, so I don't even go near it. So there's that. But you're talking about stuff. But this is why I always joke about my horse hooves or stuff like that. It's the collagen powder, which I mix with Emergency, which then I mix with my electrolyte cramp aid. So that's about it. But that's like one scoop of that and one Emergency per two, for an entire pitcher in there. It's like, okay, and that helps some, but yeah, the big problem I'm having right now is I keep on wandering around when I shouldn't, eating candy from all the everyone's putting out candy in their bowls. I'm like, guys, stop it.
I know what you mean. I told everybody before the holidays, no candy, no chocolate, and I still had on Christmas Day, I still had candy left over from Halloween.
Oh,
almost all of it, and then I got probably close to 10 pounds of different junk food. And I'm trying to cut out sugars completely, unless it's natural from fruits and things like that.
Sure.
And
I don't mind having a little bit of sugar for that, but I don't need to eat anything that doesn't have anything else in there. But I did I cut out. Now, admittedly, I've been using the Emergency the entire time, but during COVID, I cut out most of my carbohydrates, and yeah, exactly. What gets me is when he's talking about that, I have one allergy on my list, and doctors always prescribe something with. I'm like, do you not look at my medical chart? That's what gets me. Is I feel like I have to go behind the doctor or ahead of the doctor. Okay, this is what my symptoms are. This is what I've looked for. This is the problem that's in there. Here, let me show you where it hurts. And I'll actually bring I have a 3D program that shows the whole human body. I'm like, it hurts right here. And he's like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm like, wait a minute, you guys. I'm not impressed by doctors anymore. I used to have a lot more respect.
They lost all of my respect a couple of years back. You know what I mean?
Well, there are some that I trust, but the problem was that they were being, but then they're chewed out. I had a neighbor of mine, and she got COVID, and she had the problems with the lungs, and they just kept telling her, come back if it gets worse. And she kept going back every couple of weeks, and finally, her doctor who had been on vacation came back and said, "What are you doing, this poor woman?" And they prescribed steroids and everything else, and she recovered within a week. And it's
I'll look at them when the show's over.
It's like, how can you let people suffer just to make more money? That's what gets me about it.
Oh, it's called being evil.
Oh, I know, but I mean, it's how can you? That's still my opinion of, how can you allow that to occur? That's just, how am I supposed to trust doctors? And I've seen good doctors. I mean, I've met some good doctors out there, but there's this perverse incentive of not fixing anything. I'm like, I'm going to come back anyway, right? It's, yeah, I don't know. That's why, the best thing we can do is eat better, exercise, lose weight. Everything else is kind of irrelevant. We can all talk about games. You have to keep yourself mentally stimulated, but man, do something out there. Right? That's one thing, boy. I really wish, as a kid, and that's one thing I used to do with my son was I go, sword fighting with him. I get a Nerf sword. We whack each other. And
That was some of the best, man.
oh, and now Nerf always goes, oh, you came to this, and now Nerf's gone. Well, I know it's Hasbro, but now it's like, what?
We actually we didn't use Nerf. It was lightsabers. We'd wait till it got kind of dusk like outside.
Oh yeah,
and we go out with the different lightsabers. And of course, over the years, they've all been destroyed. But
did you see that they have the new ones out that are actually intended to be used for sparring?
No.
Yeah. So they were doing. I was watching Scala Gladiatoria, with Matt from the. Anyway, he says that he was with his HEMA group trying them out, and they're like, well, they actually work pretty good. They put on like the kendo stuff, and they go whack each other with the swords, and it makes the sounds and everything for the lightsabers, and it has the light. But yeah, it's like full contact. I was like, man, that's pretty cool. A bit expensive, but it's still pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. There's just so much that is. This whole idea of experts have completely ruined their reputations on stuff. And I used to argue with people when they said, "Oh, you don't believe in science." I'm like, "What do you mean I don't believe in science?" I said, "I just don't believe in scientists." So there's a big difference. I just can't believe that they abandoned everything in there. So we'll see. We'll see how the real world goes. So all we can do is take care of each other and take care of our family. And
no worries, guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit the road as well. Chris is taking off. We've been doing this for just about almost 4 hours, which is way longer than I expected to tonight. But I appreciate it, especially toward the end, guys. We were just, spinning our wheels for the last hour or so. But the fact that you guys were still hanging out and almost a dozen of you guys were doing so, I really, really appreciate that. Next week we'll be back. Hopefully Brian will be here doing some more painting. I'll have more stuff to show off that I've actually finished. I made some progress tonight. I'm really happy with what this one's almost done.
Oh, cool. Dude. You know what though, and when I was talking about stuff I was going back on Kickstarter, I saw that the Conan Red Nails is coming out. Expansion. Oh, really? The expansion with the miniatures and stuff. I'll be honest, I like.
That was a good story.
I liked the game. Red Nails I liked. I think Hour of the Dragon is still one of my favorites for that whole thing. But I did enjoy reading all of it. But no, they're coming out with an expansion to the board game. And I like the board game. It's just, and I wish I'd sit down and paint them, but I just.
If you're not in the mood, you're not in the mood. And that's one of my number one rules. I don't paint something I'm not in the mood to paint because it turns out like crap. Well, thanks, Cal. I appreciate it. But it is cruising up on 10 o'clock my time. I got to take care of some DM stuff, if you know what I mean. Appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out, Owen.
Sure.
I know I will see you tomorrow with Bo and Brian in Bo's game. I hope you guys all have a great weekend. I'll be back doing another Top Secret review in the morning, afternoonish, after Hungar's show. And then I'll be doing a Saturday night Sci-Fi Shadow Chat where we'll do part 2 of High-Tech Armor. And then I'll take a break for Sunday and part of Monday. But I hope you guys all have a great weekend. And until next time, guys, happy trails.